Hello, everybody, and welcome to Zack Snyder's Sucker Punch. Not a fan, Jova?
Let's just get this over with.
Sure.
I've made it clear during our first commentary that this movie was overtly confusing, way too hard to follow, and really a blue balling in actually giving us action. And now that I understand this, that the actual twist was supposed to have not even have been a twist, but something that was obvious from the get-go, I'm not really looking forward to doing this, let alone not only an extended cut, but apparently the entire lead up into this movie.
Okay, basically everybody out there, I'm sure most of the people nowadays know Zack more for his DCU work, but basically, you know how the Batman v Superman had an Ultimate Edition that restored 30 minutes of footage to properly reflect Zack's original vision? Believe it or not, that was not the first time something happened with a Zack Snyder movie. Like that happened with a Zack Snyder movie. It was the same thing with Sucker Punch, because Sucker Punch was originally an R-rated movie, but then because Zack really was trying to get a PG-13, he had to edit the movie a total like about 5 times before the MPA would finally give him that PG-13 rating. And as I'm going to point out the differences over the course of the commentary, let's just say there are some differences that are just appalling, to say the least.
So what, is the PG-13 version better?
No, the extended version it's like Batman v Superman, Jova. The extended version is an improvement
to an extent,
but it's a. Let me put it like this: it's like if we have a victim that has the entire body burned, and your solution is to put a lot of bandages on that person. That's basically what this is. So yeah, everybody. So get ready, get your extended cut. We're doing the extended cut because that's Zack's intended version of the movie, the R-rated version. So get your Blu-ray, or maybe if you can find it digitally, get it as well. It should be easy to find. As far as I'm aware, there's only one cut of this movie. Well, one cut of the extended version. Sorry. So it should be fine. However, before we start doing that, we're going to do the shorts because not a lot of people know this, but during the marketing there were 4 2 to 3 minute shorts that elaborate on the fantasy worlds of the movie. We'll get to that. So the first one we're going to do, everybody, is it's on YouTube, everybody. So Tay will be putting the links on the description, so be sure to use those. So we're going to watch all 4 of the shorts, starting with Distant Planet. So everybody ready?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, click. So let's see. This was released these shorts were released like a week before the movie came out in theaters. So this was part of the market.
Inspired by exactly.
Yeah.
Sucker Punch.
Yeah, I prefer Sony's Sucker Punch studio.
Yeah, I have a question, but I'll mention after we start the proper movie.
Distant Planet.
So let's see.
Always a good start.
Yeah, back with this type of narration. Is this Keith David narrating?
I don't know.
I'm getting Animatrix flashbacks to this.
That does not sound like Keith David.
Oh no, the police is violent.
Are we sure that this isn't a little
This
throwback to the
Zack was ahead
Matrix?
of his time.
Well, remember, Joe, these shorts take place during the various fantasy worlds we're going to see in the movie. So.
Are you sure about this one? This one literally looks like something that came out of the Animatrix.
Maybe this was like a concept, when it was only scratched in the movie.
It takes place during that it takes place in that neon city that the girls are going to be in. Don't worry, you'll see for yourself when we get to it. But they are.
Wait, Snowpiercer?
It's mostly because the art direction of these
I
shorts
honestly, Chris Evans here.
Not that I blame you for being confused, Jova, because the art direction of these shorts... Yeah, there you go.
It was a train, always have been.
Yeah, but yeah, as Jova has probably already realized, the art direction for these shorts has nothing to do with Zack Snyder's art direction for the actual movie. So yeah, it's a bit confusing.
What the hell is that thing? A bomb?
There you go. See, we're actually gonna see this bomb in the movie itself. So in this train.
So basically, what? So all these worlds are set up for the actual action scenes that occur, I guess.
Yeah.
guess,
I'll explain later when we get into the movie itself. Don't worry.
One thing to note, because also the other shorts seem to be like that. YouTube renders these like in a very weird manner. Their videos are like more like almost compressed in a way. They're very horizontal.
These robots gave their lives against.
Oh, and these are our heroines, I guess.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, there you go. See, Joe, but now that looks more like what you've seen.
Okay.
They even show the part of the movie where it does show up. See?
Oh, they're not robots. They're people with suits. Okay,
Actually,
I forgot.
they kind of are robots. You'll see. When
Okay, it's never properly explained. Well, already we can talk about that in the full
It's a
movie.
dream. You don't have to explain.
I will say this though, it's weird how this short was portraying the robots in something of a more heroic light, seeing as how our heroines end up slaughtering them mercilessly. So, kind of sending me mixed messages there.
Joe, but don't you see? It's a dream world. It doesn't actually. None of this is actually real.
I get
You
that.
have to pay to watch the movie to find out what actually happened.
Well,
Pretty much.
funnily enough, there are a lot of stories that suggest that what happens in a dream does matter, but I digress. My point is like, well, why would you show an obvious sad scene of a guy saying goodbye to his robot wife?
Robots have feelings, Jova. Detroit become human hasn't taught you anything.
And that's
Jennifer, have you,
Those
Jennifer,
are androids to you?
Right,
have you-
pieces
have you
of plastic,
checked
not
Plankton
metal.
from SpongeBob?
Tia, that's the thing. In the movie, we're apparently supposed to be against the robots.
Whatever. Next short.
Next.
Feudal Warriors.
The next short is Feudal Warriors. This is, of course, based on the most famous, iconic action scene of the movie.
Oh, the one in the
yes.
trailer with the samurai with the machine gun. Okay.
Exactly. All right, so everybody get ready on Feudal Warriors. Again, link in the description. So, 3, 2, 1, click.
Sucker punch.
March 25th, 2011.
God, this
Well, this-
movie is
this-
old.
these-
This movie
these
is
videos-
9.5 years old.
Well,
Jesus.
these videos also released on March 25th.
That's the thing, Dwebs. The actual, I don't know, but I was checking the uploads themselves.
According to the date of YouTube, it says March 25th.
Or maybe they've been published. I don't know. Whatever.
I know that the Distant Planet one was in on March 18th. I do know that at least. But anyway.
Huh. Funny, I'm watching a samurai.
That's a Greek city, though.
Watching a movie with warriors.
What is this,
and I
For
watched
Honor?
Mulan- Watched Mulan earlier today.
You did,
You
did
saw
you?
Mulan, eh? What does that have to do with this, though, since this is Japan, technically?
And there's a machine gun.
All right, don't worry.
I'll explain later.
Yeah.
This is all just a hodgepodge of different
Because
eras and
just to make it look
places
cool.
and things.
Well,
That's the thing, Shiro. That's
hold
how
on.
the movie is as well. That's the thing.
Oh,
Well, sure.
It's basically that's what the feeling that I got the first trailer that I saw. A mishmash just to make it, appealing to look cool.
Don't you see, Shiro, though? We gotta hype up all these different great, wondrous places our heroines are going to go to. These will totally matter heavily in the movie itself.
Yeah, but then again, none of the places are real.
Up.
Supposedly, the idea is that they're fleshing out the locales a bit more, so that there's.
I'm starting to wonder if with this Zack wanted to launch a proper franchise that had like some materials that involved these different worlds.
Tio, going off of how the ending of this movie goes, I would not bet on that.
Yeah, that too. Again, my idea is that they're supposed to provide context, so you know more about these areas.
Shot.
What do you mean, ass shot? According to Zack Snyder, this is supposed to be a feminist piece. There you go. See.
Also, of course, that samurai before had a Tengu mask. I need to insert that symbolism
Cruel
there.
and unusual films. Yeah.
Well, that's Zack's studio. So
Yeah, no, again, cool and unusual. Yeah, no shit.
But
Based
yeah, I
on
know.
what was just
Go on, sorry.
No, just based on what was just said at the end of the short there, I've been warned that I'm probably going to be very annoyed with Zack by the end of this movie.
I'll just say
Oh,
this.
But yeah, I noticed what we've said before. Yeah, seems to be that this short alone was uploaded on March 25th, while the other three on March 18th. I don't know why the discrepancy. Maybe it was like a re-upload or something.
You know, Pedro,
Alright.
I have a special question in mind for you, but I'm gonna save that question for after we're done with the shorts and before the movie.
sure.
So
All
next up
right,
is
let's do
Dragon.
Dragon.
The first short is called Dragon. Yeah. So we already know how this goes. Let's just get going into this. 3, 2, 1, click.
If I recall correctly, this might be based off of my favorite of the adventures.
Yeah, the one where they're fighting the giant dragon. Yeah.
Red. Nice.
Dragon.
Just dragon.
Boy, Dragon Age Inquisition 3 looks weird.
War.
Script.
Actually, belief can be easily shattered. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, what are you on about?
Fanatism, though, is a bit more hard to break, I will
Yeah.
say.
I think they probably could have worded that better.
Yeah, that is true. Bonk. That's terrible. Damaged property. How rude of you.
Oh yeah, and the orcs as well. I forgot about the orcs.
Oh, so basically this is the rejected pitch for the Western version of Goblin Slayer.
Uh-huh. Now it does sound a bit more like Keith David.
At least it seems to be consistent with each. Oh wow, not even subtly now it's similar to Baradur.
Well, Zach is a big video game / comic books guy, so.
Okay.
He did.
Or like
Oh, no.
I guess he tried to appeal to the dragon, but he was like, no, you killed my worshippers. You're a beast. You're a bitch. So
Yeah, there you go. This is what we're gonna see in the movie. There you go.
and
look-
that's
look
it.
So look forward to that fight in the movie.
Sure, I guess.
Alright, and now
Suppose.
for the finale of the short
Trenches,
trenches.
The trends. This is special because it's the only short of it that's entirely silent. It's purely visual. So
Not even narration, huh?
Not even narration. No.
All right.
Alright, let's go.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, click. I find it interesting how they feel the need to put the Sucker Punch logo at the beginning, even though we're going to see the Sucker Punch logo at the beginning of the short itself. But whatever.
Redundancy much.
Yeah.
Yeah, marketing, tagging, and all that.
The
The
trenches.
So yeah, now we're on World War One. Because and actually, this is another one that you might remember. Yeah, there's one of the first action scenes, or fantasy worlds rather, is that they're on World War One. Don't worry, I will survive the war to see you again.
Unless I'm killed by a
Vent.
schoolgirl with a skirt. Nakatana.
Manteo, Valiant Hearts 2 is took a very dark turn, didn't it?
He did.
The first was already dark.
Well, I know, but in terms of look, though.
Even darker.
So there you go.
Darker yet darker.
Thanks, Ubisoft.
Is that the Iron Giant in there on the left? It looked like.
It was the claw.
No.
Where is
Oh,
the
what
rebel
are you?
base?
Oh shit. Interesting torture device.
Don't you
And
see?
now
They
he's
make
Darth
them
Vader.
one of them.
if I keep tapping you, you will die. Game over. No continues, my friend.
And there you go. Instantly
Oh, I
turns
become one of the Death Corps of Krieg.
pretty much.
Well, I will say this.
All right.
Well-
basically, in the actual fantasy world part of the movie, we're going to see German Nazi zombie soldiers.
well, we
So,
Which have been tortured and put into these suits.
so this is the kind of the origin story of that. Kind
Well,
of.
I will say this, for as much of a monkey's paw it could be,
Oh, there you go.
I wouldn't mind actually seeing an attempt of Zack Snyder to do a Warhammer 40k adaptation.
And there
I
you go,
probably
that
would
giant-
be able
that's-
to recapture that.
That's the giant that you said. That was the giant robot that we're going to see also in the movie.
guess you could consider that an act of mercy, all things considered.
There you go. All right, everybody, and that was the Sucker Punch animated shorts. Jovi, you had a question for me?
Yes. So Pedro, in regards to what was advertised to the movie, it was just the action scenes, correct?
Mostly, yes.
Yeah, I remember that as well.
Goody, goody, goody. In that case, I cannot wait to talk to our audience about the opening of that film.
Yes.
Now, one more question. Was the movie well regarded, well liked, and well
No.
received?
It was panned by critics, mostly panned by audiences. The movie does have a small, passionate fan base that defends it as a misunderstood work of genius, and that
Things
we
always
just
do.
So,
like, we
loud
just, like,
minority.
you just don't get it, Shiroi. Okay, the movie's too intelligent for you.
Well,
I haven't even watched it yet.
like
No,
you just...
I'm not kidding. By the way, there
I
was a lot of I heard a lot of arguments like those in the internet back in 2011, back when this.
So
came
you're
Like
saying that you have to have an IQ, high IQ to really
Yeah, like I said, well, at least most of the shorts actually do have interesting ideas for stories of their own. So
No, they
why
do.
not develop those instead?
Oh, it's the same thing with the movie. The movie does have interesting ideas. It just never fleshes them out properly. But
Anyway, yeah, 22% on Rotten Tomatoes. So let me see instead of budget, 82 million and 90 for box office. So yeah, barely able to recoup, but not only it's not recoup, but have its original budget. So not at all a success. All right, let's just start this.
all right, everybody, I've already explained, so let's just get into this.
Before the custom-made Warner Bros.
Brothers
logo.
Yeah.
Yep.
3, 2, 1, click.
How
The
fitting.
fun
All
fact,
right.
I actually went to see this movie in the theaters, and I had to leave the theater because the music was so loud that my ears literally starting to hurt. And
Oh, wow.
so I decided, fuck this. I'm not losing my hearing over this movie.
So,
Wow, so it
actually-
was worse mixing than SA2, huh?
So here's the question that I wanted to ask before, Pedro. What does the title mean?
I don't know, too.
Because
To be honest with you, I don't know.
the actual word, like if it was like for the developers that work for Sony, I'd say gaming company, abstract title and all. But what does sucker punch actually means as a term? Like
I
I'm
don't know.
punching a gullible person or something.
Well, I don't know,
So
too.
basically, the main character is played by Emily Browning, aka Violet Baudelaire, from the series Unfortunate Events movie.
Which
Yeah,
What a
is
step
weird.
up in the career.
And the song we're hearing right now, it's also sung by her.
It's weird because in this movie she looks like she's trying to pull off a Dakota Fanning cosplay.
And yeah, that's totally not a wig on Emily Browning. I swear on me, mom.
Like I
It looks
said,
like a rejected pitch for an Harley Quinn movie.
like I said, she looks like she's trying to do a Dakota Fanning cosplay with that wig.
So yeah, their mom died. Her and her sisters.
Like in every good fairy tale.
Hold on, Theo. Gee, I wonder how the mom died. What do you think, Shiroi?
I mean, clearly, the wind did it. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Not even trying!
There you go. Last will and testament. Let's see.
This is so
He
ridiculous
has a
already.
katana for a paper cutter!
Oh!
No, the mom left everything to her two daughters.
No! He's
No! How could she do this to me?
And you can see, Shiroi, Zack Snyder is completely incapable of subtlety.
I don't know what you're talking about.
and
Pedro.
basically
This is the
they're doing
best comedy I've ever seen.
Also, guys,
No, honestly, this could be
Interesting,
legitimately fun.
an interesting thing that basically Emily Browning singing a cover of Sweet Dreams.
Yes. There is Shiroi, it's Sweet Dreams, but sung by Emily Browning.
You know what time it is, Jesus.
It's
Oh,
murder
shit.
time.
There you go. He even tried to rape her. Like so
What?
already.
Wait,
we're having...
wait, what? No, he didn't try
Zach,
to
we
rape her.
didn't need the shot of a bottle.
Well, he turned off her clothes. So
No, that
Yeah,
was more...
that's, to be honest, Jova, that's kind of also the vibe that I got from how the scene was constructed.
Looked more like the button just came up because of how she was twisting there.
Anyway, well, Zack Snyder was the main writer. There was a co-writer for a screenplay named Steve Shibuya.
Steve Shibuya, I don't know who that
Let me
is.
check it. Oh, that's literally the only work he did.
All right, so the stepfather's angry, so he's gonna kill the two daughters so he can get all the money.
I mean,
That's
I
not
get
how
That's
that.
how that works.
I think I get this opening. It wants to mimic basically a modern fairy tale with some of its cliches: the dead mother, the abusive father, the blue beard, almost like of angle of it. So I do get the vibes that Zack wants to go with this. It's just that there's a bit of a lack of subtlety.
You find that interesting, Shirley? Wait till I tell you what the name of our main character here is. Baby doll.
Like a nickname,
Delete
though?
this.
Like that's...
No, it's not a nickname. That's the name they refer to her. That we never hear any other. That everybody
Why
calls her
do
baby
you
doll.
smile constantly? You're a
Alright,
guy.
and this is actually another point. The first difference here. There you go. Notice not. There you go. She just shot her arm. That's the first difference between the extended and the theatrical cuts. In the theatrical cut, she only shoots the light bulb. She doesn't actually shoot his arm. But in the extended version, we restored that a little bit.
Oh,
Okay.
she's too late.
Okay. Yeah.
How
yeah.
many of you...
It was to make the scene less bloody and therefore more fitting of a PG-13 rating. So.
Yeah, I was about to say that. But yeah, I mean, aside from Pedro, like, who else has seen this movie?
I
have.
was way too long ago. I forgot most of it outside of the main plot points and end.
So there you go. And now he's gonna.
Gee, lady, maybe you should have actually killed him.
And here's the first thing: the stepfather accuses Baby Doll of having been the one to kill her sister.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that the father left his fingerprints all over shit or anything. And
Well-
we get that.
To be fair, she was the one holding the gun.
Yeah.
So
That's the thing, Pedro.
Also,
Both her fingerprints and his fingerprints would be on that gun. As far
And
as-
who would the police believe more, an actual adult or a child?
That's the thing, too. They never explain how old Baby Doll is. I mean, she looks like 18.
That is
I mean-
another thing, though. Do we know what time date this movie takes place in? Because-
60s. It's
60s,
written
is it?
here
Oh, they do?
in the 60s.
Okay. In that case, then, forensics...
From the production notes PDF from Warner Bros.
Well, in that case, Theo, that's awfully confusing because this movie is full of songs and most of them are past the 60s decades.
To be
So
fair-
it's Watchmen, technically. Remember that the marketing used Take a Bow, which wasn't at all from the time frame of the movie.
To be fair, if I recall
It's a custom thing from Zack to just insert cool songs for the sake of it.
Lennox House for the Mental Insane.
Okay, get ready,
Vermont.
Tio. Get ready, Tio and Shiroi. Here's where things are about to get confusing.
Oh, not yet, Joe.
Already?
Technically, we haven't gotten to the confusing part yet.
So Zach, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you want to make a Batman movie involving Arkham Asylum?
Yes.
So
There
they're
you
not even taking her to like juvie. They're taking her to a
No, she's
mental
freaking
asylum.
guilty.
Apparently,
Even though she hasn't displayed any sort of severe mental illness at all.
Jump on, Joe.
let me put on my
sorry.
let me put on my
Age
best
20,
Zack
there
Snyder
you go.
impression.
That's what is written, age 20.
You see,
20,
you,
there you go.
you see, Miss Shiroi, what happened was I wanted to portray an environment that is incredibly hostile, that allows for a greater struggle, that will become much more satisfying when Baby Doll finally defeats all these bad guys. You see?
Okay, I will
Not
say
Bill's
this.
character.
I will say this. She doesn't look 20, to be honest. I actually do wonder if the father actually faked the age on the paper that he's writing just for the sake of admitting they're there.
Oscar Isaac. Hello.
Yes, Oscar Isaac.
Assume she was 18 or 20. I assume like she seems about 15, 16 to me.
Yeah.
The actress herself, I think she's in like her early 20s at the time that this movie.
It's just
was
the
made, I
look
think.
of the character I'm also referring
Mr.
to.
Pleasant.
Mount Pleasant.
Get it?
But there's actually a place called that in Swansea. That's the thing, Mount Pleasant.
What a great... That's clearly what Zach had in mind.
So yeah, the stepfather's gonna commit her in here so he can get all them sweet inheritance monies.
And nobody's gonna. Does anybody check the crime scene at all properly ever?
As far as we know, Shiroi, no.
I should kind of expect this from movies because they typically don't. That's how the plot goes anywhere at all. But
This is the kind
No.
of hint that gives you. It is a kind of.
Hold on, too. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to point something out here.
Go
Because
on.
a lot of this is an important detail that a lot of people miss. Then will help me make my point later on. Okay, so we found. So this is the asylum.
Oh
right?
shit.
Oh crap. Okay, there's gonna be a specific shot that I'm gonna point out.
Oh.
Yeah, that's. They're all crazy because asylum. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Polish therapy?
I don't know that, Pedro. You don't ask me.
There you go. See, those three girls out there. You just saw them in the asylum. Keep that in mind for later. There you go. That's what I wanted to point out because that little shot is a bit easy to miss because it's only like 2 seconds.
Also, can you speak up
Oh,
a bit?
and Sweet Pea, and yeah, Sweet Pea is here too. Who is Sweet Pea? We'll find out later.
But
So
why
now
are
we
we
have,
giving them names
Carla-
like that?
Carla Gugino,
Oh.
aka Junie and the
Oh.
the mom of Spy Kids.
Hold on. You see, Miss Shea, right? What happened was I thought it would be really interesting to give these girls some really cool names. You know, like some names that are larger than life. See?
But no, Shiroi, that's basically your major cue about the fact that Zack Snyder is a huge fanboy of people like Frank Miller because of again the subtext that this gives you, the fact that this world is so sick, and depraved that something that appears so obvious and common sense, worthy of the police, more having to believe more this child rather than the abusive father is not happening. It's a thing that takes for granted. I know that it's a bit arguable this day and age, thanks to the gifts that this charming year has given us so far. But at least for the context of the movie, these are the kind of stories
Subtle.
where the darkness-induced audience apathy revels too much in.
It's probably not a good time to mention, but this was a movie that tried to do the whole female empowerment woke trend thing before it became the meme that it is today.
Yeah, this film came out in 2011.
You can see by the doctoress and her outfit.
Well, okay, regardless of how people dress or whatnot, this movie just tried to go for the whole female empowerment thing. Also,
Oh,
funnily
sure.
enough, too, it's funny you mentioned dressing because that is sort of the thing about some female empowerment schlock. It feels like they're ashamed of the female body. Case in point, Powerpuff Girls 2016.
A Zippo with a
You know,
dragon. Hmm.
By the way, I love how the stepfather was literally telling Oscar Isaac to lobotomize this girl, all right behind her where she can perfectly hear everything.
It's okay, they were whispering. She didn't
Oh,
hear.
look, he literally accepts and exchanges money because he's that corrupt.
And yes, everybody, it's one of those movies. One of those movies where to be fair, not all of them. There's like 2 of them, but aside from aside from 2 of them, all the men are portrayed as creepy sleazeballs, basically.
Wait. They use them to clean the toilets? What?
All right, now she's having a polish therapy session, whatever the hell that is.
Let me look it up.
Okay, we'll say this. This song is not really fitting for the moment. Not necessarily.
No,
that
not
I
really.
don't want any song at all. I get the idea behind. Just use a different one. Oh, great! Lobotomy through the eye, my favorite.
Oh
Tell.
boy, here we go.
There you go. This Shiro is where the movie gets confusing.
Pretty much my point.
Zack, please don't show it to us.
And
Okay, so bit of backstory here. When I first saw this movie, I thought that this was literally just a fake out, That it turns out that in reality, this is what it's like in real life. Not so much. Shiroi and Tio, we were technically at the end of the movie there. The rest of this movie, for the most part, is told in flashback. And get this.
Well, I can tell the difference between reality and fakeness by the fact that this is much more colorful.
Yeah, there's a lot of color here.
Here's part
Yeah.
of here's the part of the problem. About 80% of this movie is pretty much all in a dream of sorts.
an hallucination. Basically, the idea, Shiro, is that right before the lobotomy takes place, she's as a coping mechanism imagining a different reality.
I'll admit.
know.
Okay. Now I'll admit, when I first saw this movie with Dwibs and Pedro, I thought that, oh, this is actually a twist, and then it turns out that I thought that, oh, the fact that none of this is reality was supposed to be the twist.
Hold on.
What the fuck?
Anyway,
Lose your virginity.
And she's imagining her father as a priest.
Well, this is a whorehouse too, so. All right, go ahead, Joe.
Oh, bravo. Okay.
I was so confused the first time I saw this movie, but no, apparently it's supposed to be obvious from reality that this is her coping mechanism. Like, I'm sorry, but it's not clear at all that this is a coping mechanism and not what's actually going to happen because, well, all that action and stuff that was hinted at with the shorts and pretty much 90% of the trailers. Like, even I remember the marketing campaign for this movie, and all it showed were the action scenes. None of it is real. It pretty much goes to the Bridge of Terabithia school of problems with films.
Well, actually, I have a better comparison, Joe, because I think I, in a very strange and morbid way, I think I get what Snyder wanted to do with this. Alice in Wonderland.
Honestly, Tio, here's the thing. With Alice in Wonderland, that was actually technically real. Like, sure, yeah, Alice herself...
Joe, most adaptations try to say that, but the book always intended it to be very ambiguous.
Well, okay, if they're trying to go for an Alice in Wonderland vibe, well, for one thing, Alice in Wonderland was done to the benefit of the character for the most part. This is not.
You played the
evil
McGee video
stepfather.
games.
We're gonna get
Oh, I love that.
So the
was-
evil
well, the
stepfather is
first one.
played by Gerard Plunkett, who was actually in Legends of Tomorrow, funnily enough.
All right.
He
So
played a reverend in an episode.
going back quickly to that comment from Sweet Pea about, let me guess, the High Roller is coming here to pay for your virginity. That line was changed for the PG-13 theatrical version. In the theatrical version, she only says, let me guess, the High Roller is coming here for some flower picking. Basically. So, and I actually prefer the flower picking analogy because, like, sometimes subtlety is better than overtness.
Yeah,
Okay.
because like I know what that means. And
Okay,
it's-
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
that-
Is it just me, or everyone talks very, very low in this movie? Like they're almost whispering constantly.
That's the problem, Teo. The dialogue is incredibly low, and the music is annoyingly loud.
I
Who
swear.
Well,
was the sound
say I
mixer for
have-
this
You
thing?
know-
I don't know about the sound mixer, but I know who did the actual music.
Tyler Bates and Marius DeVries.
You know, I hate.
I have the
movies.
movie on full volume and I can barely understand these people.
You know, I hate.
I've got
movies.
subtitles on, so
Yes, good
Oh,
for you.
this
You
scene.
know, I hate movies like these, ones that have incredibly
Hello.
low talking, so you pump up the volume, but then it gets incredibly
Okay.
loud
Is it
all of a
is it
sudden
the same
because
guy
it
who
wants to
does-
surprise the audience.
is this
So,
the
of
same guy who
course.
does the sound mixing for Christopher Nolan movies or something?
I don't know.
Possibly.
That's the right now. There's a
Oh,
rumor going
goody,
around that
then-
he's getting deaf. Apparently.
Oh,
Nolan, I
good.
mean.
Oh, goody. Vanessa Hudgens is in this movie.
Well, I mean, by watching his own movies and with the sound being so loud, yeah.
Actually, I already heard that
All
name.
right,
What
let
has
me-
she done?
Wait, is that actually her, Jova?
Vanessa
Yes,
Hudgens. Yes,
Vanessa
that's
Hudgens.
Oh,
Oh, she was apparently a character in High School Musical 3.
yeah, she was Gabriella.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
she
yes.
Vanessa
did. She
Hudgens
did
is-
this.
was a lead
She did something like
character.
this to get.
What
away
a
from
great
the
step up in her
Also-
career.
Also, that Asian girl looks like Brenda Song as well. Is that Brenda Song?
I don't
I'm
know.
checking.
Anyway, yeah, that little shot where they looked at the kitchen and the cook was all like "Mwah," and stuff. That scene was removed for the PG-13 theatrical version.
I think
as
you
well.
mean Jamie Chung, Joe.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
she,
that's
does, she
her.
doesn't look like Brenda Song.
Oh, and here's another difference. Now we're about to see a very long musical number.
Oh, great, my favorite.
It's Love is a Drug, performed by two characters. This was cut from the theatrical cut because of maybe runtime reasons. I don't know, because this scene in particular doesn't really have any problem. That I
Well,
can surmise.
does the dance that she gave is like over sexualized? I don't
Well,
know.
let's see what you think too.
I mean, this is a lounge bar, so potentially yes.
So, I'll just ask a question. See, before, again, like I said, when I first saw this movie, I thought that, oh, in reality, the asylum is secretly,
Oh boy, we get to hear Oscar Isaac singing.
I swear, originally I thought that this was supposed to be an allegory for the asylum secretly being a brothel in disguise or
Yeah,
whatnot.
definitely understanding why this was cut.
But okay, so knowing now that all this is pretty much just a hallucination, I have a question. What is the point of this? It contributes pretty much nothing to any of the characters.
Creativity.
Oh, but don't you see?
Oscar Isaac's not that bad a singer, actually.
But don't you see, Jova? This is all a big metaphor. She's secretly imagining that she's in a brothel because apparently being in a brothel is much better for her than to be in an asylum. You see?
Fine,
Like, I get that you think that she could imagine herself maybe in a safe place, a place that's nice. But I guess Baby Doll's imagination is not very good.
Not only that, guys, but let's think about it. All of this movie is happening in the split second before she's about to be killed. So,
Well, just like we say, like your life flashes before your eyes.
in a sense, I guess. Again, just what was the point of this bit here and there?
That's the thing, Jova. There is no point. I don't understand.
Proper note for anyone who doesn't know sexual symbolism. If there's like a bottle of champagne that gets, like opened in that way, that's
yeah.
exactly the symbolism that you're thinking about.
That's pretty.
Like
that's
this,
pretty
I was about to say this movie is just not subtle at all.
But
You're
yeah,
right.
no,
Zack isn't
honestly,
capable of that.
I understand why this sequence was cut away mostly for the imagery.
But
Not
the
only
basic
that, but it
plot-
saves time. I mean, Jesus
Also,
Christ.
Oscar Isaac is a good singing voice, but as a whole, this is just very
Yeah.
meh.
Are we
Yeah.
in a different movie?
I mean, maybe Rise of Skywalker
Oh.
would have been better if
No, you
Poe
see-
got a song.
No, you see, Miss Shiro, the reason it feels like that is because right now she's in her own imaginary world. So of course you are in a different world.
Oh, don't worry.
Technically, yeah.
Oh,
I
sure.
guess.
Don't worry. If you are confused or lost at this point, it's going to get even more confusing when the actual action enters into the scene.
I understand what's going on. It's just why.
It
For
gets
the
worse.
sake of showcasing
Shiro,
creativity, I'm starting.
It's all about coping with your imminent death.
No, I think she was talking out of universe. But again, I actually do wonder if these were just a set of ideas of which Zack wanted to make actual movies out of, but
Yeah, I
wasn't
think
allowed,
one of
so
the-
he just
I think one of
mashed
the
into one
plot
narrative.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, fuck it, let's do everything.
So yeah, the basic plot right now, and yeah, I'm with Jove as well. By the way, this entire musical number is just a waste of time.
Okay.
But anyway,
Okay, now don't get me wrong. The song is sung pretty marvelously well, and the music itself is good for this bit. It's just the scene contributes nothing. I mean, sure, we're seeing how stuff is done and how he throws out that gangster and everything, but aside from that, it
I'm
really
getting Moulin
contributes
Rouge and
nothing.
Chicago flashbacks from
No. You will not compare Moulin Rouge to this travesty.
To be fair, yes, because Moulin Rouge at least used the actual, covers of pre-existing songs instead of having an original one. So yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Moulin Rouge sort of did a bit of a pan thing in the fact that, it... Okay. Even though it did sing songs that weren't invented for that time date, it adapted them in a sense where it made sense to hear.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about that, Joel. I'm talking about all of Universe. The fact that he now doesn't have a single original piece of music, and instead it's just covers of anything else. It's like Sergeant Pepper and his Lonely Heart Club Band.
allow me to help you, Shiroi. The basic plot right now is that she's gonna be sold to the High Roller, who will take her virginity. That's literally all that we've established up until this point, really. In the dream world, I mean, because right now the real
Yeah, we're
world
back
plot,
in reality at the moment.
No, that's the thing, Shiro. Right now, the real world plot is on pause.
So I
Oh
really...
wait, we're not back in reality with this?
The whole rest of this movie up until the very end is going to be all this.
Yeah,
Yep,
basically.
I warned you about that.
Okay, apparently, Shiro, Baby Doll has the brain speed of the speed of light, because she has even though the needle is literally about to pierce her eye. Wow, she has time to think all of this.
It's the equivalent of your life flashes before your eyes before you die, Mifo.
Yeah, but this is a bit ridiculous. Like, usually
It's taken to its extreme, and Zack's lack of subtlety, as we're seeing.
Okay, hold on. Oh, guys, there's a fat, sleazy cook alone in the kitchen with a woman. You know what that means?
But I wish I was playing Little Nightmares instead.
Oh, speaking of which,
That too,
looking forward to
yes.
the sequel on that.
All right, in the theatrical cut, the cook attacking Rocket. Yeah, her name is Rocket. The cook attacking Rocket in this scene is much less graphic, but we're watching the extended cut, so enjoy Zack's intended version of the scene.
Yay! Who plays the chef, actually? Malcolm Scott.
To do a movie about women empowerment, so let's show a good few minutes of them being tortured.
Sure, yes, it's okay to have a story about female empowerment if we balance that out by showcasing assault.
Trauma, again,
This is,
does not build character!
This is a very... God,
Fucking hell!
You guys say Tomb Raider 2013 was necessarily...
Oh, yeah. For the record, Shiroi, this was Zack's first time writing. Because up until
I
this
can
point,
tell.
Writing a script of his own, because I think he did write... I think he co-wrote 300, but that was an adaptation.
Oh, I wasn't aware that he did script writing for 300. I thought he did the...
Yeah,
I thought
he co-wrote the screenplay.
I thought somebody else wrote the screenplay for that.
Zack Snyder co-wrote it.
Okay, then.
Anyway,
Okay, second time. Well, but I can tell you, this is the first time he came up with an original story all on his own instead of if it being an adaptation of something else. So this is all his fault, basically.
Anyway, Malcolm Scott has a sort of an extensive career ever since the end of the 90s, but only for second role, and he's been a sort of minor character recurring for Zack Snyder movies because he was in Watchmen, he was in this, and also in Man of Steel.
I want to say something to Dwebs. I know it's a different actress, I know, but at the same time, look at her. Doesn't she look like Natalia Simeonova from GoldenEye? She even kind of sounds. She even kind of sounds the same. She has a...
You know, I wonder if I ended up having a better experience thinking that this was actually the reality bits before.
So Shiroi, confused enough yet?
Just want to know why.
Well, now you're getting even more confused. Why?
Oh, wait. I think
Gucci here is about to ask Baby Doll to show her how she knows how she dances. So let's see how she dances. Let's see if she's a good dancer.
Oh.
No, that's the thing, Shiroi. What you're thinking right now, that's not it.
Is dancers
No. She's either going to be really good or really shit.
That's the thing, Shiroi. We don't know.
Wait, hold on. Let her see.
Wait, she's not going to do anything? Oh.
Hold on. You'll see.
What any of this has to do with what happens in reality is beyond me.
Speak up a bit,
please.
Okay.
Zach, here's how metaphors and analogies work. There has to be a parallel. There has to be a parallel to the events from one timeline to the other timeline. There is absolutely no parallel to what's going on right now in this dream world compared to what's going on right now in the real world.
And in case you guys are wondering, Shurin too, we will get a tiny snippet of what was actually happening in reality. Yeah, no parallel to this, like, at all. It's like if Wizard of Oz didn't have all the parallel characters, so you would have pretty much no idea what Dorothy meant by, and you were there, and you were there.
The closer we got to when she was actually taken to the chair and she had like a glimpse of all the other things, like the guy with the Zippo with a dragon on it.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
I will just say this. I will wonder if I had a better experience assuming that
CGI
the bits we were in was in reality, because guess what, guys? Now we're in a hallucination within a hallucination. So,
about the samurai.
So, Pedro, yes. I gotta wonder.
Warner Brothers, Inception came out a year before, and you released that movie too.
So, Pedro, I'm curious. To
be fair, both movies were written around the same time, to be fair. This is just a coincidence, to be fair. Go ahead, Joe.
I'm curious, Pedro. Was the main reason you didn't tell me that, the outside scenes were also hallucinations was so that I wouldn't be more confused than I already was by the movie the first time we commentated on it?
Jova, I failed to realize how can I make this movie not confusing for you. So I just decided. So I just did what came natural to me.
Okay. Because I always wondered why you never just told me from the get-go that the stuff like the dancing scenes were also hallucinations when we first commentated on it.
Well, they are, Jova. That's the thing.
No. That's my point. I was wondering why you never corrected me on that because I had thought that they were.
To be perfectly honest, Jova, I don't even remember. Talk about the original commentary, right? Because I don't.
Yes,
remember.
The original commentary.
I do not remember. Sorry, but anyway, there you go, Shiroi. All during the time that she's doing her dance, we cut to an extra imaginary world where now she's a schoolgirl armed with a Japanese katana.
Oh, hey!
I was about to say, why is she wearing a serafuku?
Because
apparently,
you see, Miss Shiroi, I'm a big fan of anime, and I like seeing a lot of fan servicey anime with schoolgirls. So I thought I would implement this into my movie.
Okay.
Apparently, Emily Browning is actually a fan of Sailor, so she made a few comparisons as well.
Okay, look, to be fair, the anime outfit, I get it. And you know what? Just because someone has a sexy-looking outfit does not mean that they cannot be empowering. Hell, Kill la Kill is all about that kind of crap. That said, you need to be a good writer for this stuff. Zack Snyder is not necessarily that good a writer. Anyway, what is Stick from the Daredevil series doing here?
Yeah, it's called Glenn. If you don't know, he has like a super extended career ever since the 70s. More recently he has been famous for Marvel's Daredevil.
All right, for the sake of not saying entirely negative things about the movie, I will say this: like from a visual standpoint, the movie is pretty good. Like it has a pretty stylish look to it.
Again, I think that I noticed that constantly. If there's one thing that Zack Snyder can actually prove is the fact that he's a fan of comic book, because most of the shots are composed like you are watching actual panels of a comic book in motion.
Like, here's what I would assign.
Maybe he should have directed Battlefield Earth then.
Okay, here's one thing. If I were to assign Zack Snyder to like a member of a movie team, he'd be like the visual director and maybe the
cinematography.
Yeah, the cinematographer, and also, the visual scenes director, and also the guy in charge of action scenes. Those are things he can do pretty well. For as much problems as I do have with his superhero films, their action scenes, for the most part, are pretty good. Special mention goes to Wonder Woman entering in during that fight with Doomsday. Okay.
Shiroi. We have a schoolgirl with a katana fighting giant samurai warriors.
Bravo.
Okay, on paper, this would be pretty awesome. And you know what? For the marketing, it did look pretty awesome.
This was like, 2001, so approximately 16 years before Nier Automata.
There is one big problem that deflates this action scene, despite being very visually stunning. And we're about to see it right now.
Woof.
Okay, so yeah, she's immortal in this dream world. So
what else would you? It's literally your imagination.
But that's the thing too. Because of this fight scene has no tension. Why are you even dodging that? Just stop that thing with your neck.
I guess she can resist a blunt, hits, but she could still be cut by the blade.
Yeah,
not that I remember seeing.
Okay.
No, but I guess that's the logic behind it. Still avoid the blade.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much treat it like a video game. She can take some heavy attacks, but eventually she'll whittle down on her health if she gets hit enough. And literally hitting her with a blade will cut her.
Maybe this would work better as a video game.
So Shira, are you enjoying this trip through a 12-year-old edgelord, a horny boy mind?
I don't really despise it as of yet. There's a lot of stuff that's just no and why, but so far I'm not like, fuck this or anything.
Sure. Oh, trust me, Shira, the worst is even yet to come anyway.
Apparently the Wikipedia article has an entire section dedicated to the depiction of woman.
Pinocchio's nose for some reason.
That's a Tengu mask, Pedro. It represents
okay, then.
It's another showcase of Zack Snyder's lack of subtlety, because there's also the obvious phallic imagery that you can draw from there. But no, Shiro, apparently I haven't checked it yet, but Wikipedia has an entire section of its article of a movie dedicated to depiction of women, so that would be good.
Okay, so even if I'm going to accept that, I have another question. Okay, so this action scene is supposed to be a visual metaphor for the dance that she's doing right now. Okay, I have a question. What did the dance look like when she was talking to the old man? Because, how do the visuals of this scene in any way relate to the dance that she's doing, whatever it is? Because we never actually see the dance.
I actually agree.
Unless the dance really is, she's running around on the wall.
If the way of dodging the bullets was actually in a more choreographic manner, kind of like this, if it was like constantly like this, it would actually make sense that she's doing the dance thing. But unfortunately, no, she's mostly running. Oh yeah, this was a trailer shot.
You've been trying to say something, Dwips?
Wait, where did he go? Where did she got the gun?
It's a dream. It doesn't have to make sense.
Hey, anyway, yes, Dwips?
Well, what I was saying was, Well, I've already said it on audio anyway. So anyway, I forgot what I was going to say. But I was going to bring up the Rotten Tomatoes
Cool
consensus.
girls don't look at explosions. Go ahead, Dibs.
It's technically impressive and loaded with eye-catching images, but without characters or a plot to support them, all of Sucker Punch's visual thrills are for naught.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, the best thing about this
I mean, I can sort of see Zack's intent. It's basically, oh, this is just, okay, maybe this wasn't his intent. But I can see some people's thoughts on it being, it's all hallucinations and that. It's all for spectacle, really.
Again, I stand on my theory that these were just.
She's channeling her key energy, apparently.
She's a snowbending. Yeah, these were just a bunch of concepts that Zack wanted to do, but couldn't actually pull through, so he just mashed them together with a very sloppy narrative.
Again, here is definitely the major issue with this movie in correlation to the marketing. The marketing pretty much lied about, these being the main bouts of action, because in the long run, they're just hallucinations within hallucinations. So
clap, clap, clap.
So they
That
arguably...
was some dance that we didn't see.
So let me put it like this.
We never get to see it, too, right? We never get
Also,
to see
why
it.
does that dude look familiar?
It's Oscar Isaac, just with a porn stash.
Yes, Jova?
Yeah, basically, when you get down to it, the actual action scenes matter less than Disney Worlds and modern Kingdom Hearts games do. Like, I mean, on the one hand, I get it, but the problem is that it will not lead to a satisfying conclusion. Like, maybe you could say it's metaphors for her struggles or something, like Bridge to Terabithia was, but, like I said, there is no proper correlation to the events in, this hallucination or in the actual reality. So, when you get, like I said, it kind of feels like I actually had a better time with this movie when I thought that this hallucination was actually reality, because at least it made more sense, but now knowing that this is also a hallucination, the movie makes even less sense overall.
Taking the...
Go on, sir.
No, go ahead.
Taking the extra, imagination sequences out for a little bit, maybe the parallel between, this main imaginary sequence and the real life sequence, maybe she's just imagining herself in another horrible situation, but one where she has the resolve to get out of it because, it's her imagination. That, I guess that's the parallel they're going for.
Again, it's a situation similar to the coping mechanism that Alice used for the other world, the Wonderland, in Alice in Wonderland. That was the message that the author wanted to come across in that. So in a way, like I said, I do get into whatever Zack wanted to express other than being horny in this.
Sure.
It's just that
Platinum.
it needed to be better constructed.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I also love how go ahead, Jova.
Sure, you gave a very good theory. I'm just gonna say this: you are probably going to hate the ending of this hallucination.
Oh,
Yeah,
goody! But yeah, I was about to add, the platinum blonde hair and the headband, plus the general dress design, also kind of I'm reminded of Alice a little bit. So
I can get that, yeah.
Okay. I love how, again, apparently Baby Doll's dance is the greatest dance that these people have ever seen.
And we didn't get to see it.
We don't get to see it. Again, Zach, that whole show don't tell thing? Yeah, you might want to...
Well, technically...
Well, he showed us just in his own weird way.
Yeah. Wait, guys. Maybe what we saw there actually did happen, and people were just mystified at her being able to mime that out. Like, oh my god, you were able to really look like you were wielding a katana against a giant samurai robot guy and throw your katana right through his arm and then shoot him with a hand pistol right here and there and then do a backflip and then land over there and then snowbend up and down and then you take that guy one-on-one and then you just right through him and so on and so forth.
Brief.
Yeah,
what kind of dance moves are those?
Anyway, turns out, babe, now we're actually going to get into the proper, I guess, plot. of the movie.
Uh,
Baby doll has a plan. Let's see.
Whoop.
Map.
Fire.
Knife.
Knife.
so, Gabriella, think your
Key.
life
All
is great
objects
after
that you
you...
probably need.
Although she isn't wearing a headband here.
Okay, to be fair, the high roller thing does actually kind of have an allegory for her dad wanting to, have her killed of sorts. So
It does, yeah.
that is
problem is
one correlation.
That's the problem, Jova. The high roller and the entire high roller scene was removed from the theatrical cut, rendering that
Whoopsie.
point nonsensical.
I
So-
know, right? And when you get down to it, this high roll thing is technically the main motivation for the plot going on in this hallucination. So, guys, when you get down to it, we have 3 grades of plot going on. We have the reality plot, the main hallucination plot, and then the tiny plots going on in, the action scenes. The scenes that were the most marketed things here.
There you go. So the idea is that we're gonna get, like the old man told her, you're gonna need 5 items, and the 5th item is a mystery, so we don't know what that item is yet. But aside from that, we have to get fire, knife, key, map, and basically with all those items, we'll be able to come up with an escape plan to escape the brothel.
/
and we're gonna-
asylum.
there you go. So there you go. Right now we're planning.
So, here's part of an issue with this. This is technically supposed to be a correlation as to what's going on in, the real world. Here's the thing, though. As established in the real world, these girls are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, as was established in the theater scene. So, how she's able to form a
More
rational...
like, remember, she's all imagining this right as she's about to be lobotomized. So I guess this is literally just an imagining spot in where she manages to free herself and the others in a very esoteric way.
Unfortunately, Tio, not quite. Let's just say the ending reveals that she actually did technically form these plans with this insane bout of women.
Are you
Wait.
serious?
Wait, okay,
Yeah.
that presents instead a problem of presentation in the form of understanding how long she has been there, because
I know,
we
right?
got her father taking her inside, and when we cut immediately to the lobotomy scene, with her father still there. You're telling me that he checked on her every single day?
That's the thing too. The stepfather has dropped from the movie altogether.
No, right now, yes. I'm talking about beforehand for the initial sequence. Like, if you're
Okay.
telling me that time has passed between her initial internation and the lobotomy scene, that still meant that the stepfather had to check on her every day as a result.
Also,
I don't
baby
even
doll is
know.
dancing. This requires my supervision.
Okay.
So there you go. So now we're going. So basically, so baby. By the way, the scene that Babel explains her plans. That scene was abridged in the theatrical cut. I don't really get why, as nothing graphic or violent or sexual happens in that
I
scene.
haven't checked any. Sorry, I haven't checked. I haven't spotted any particular insults that might have to be censored.
Me neither. So
Huh. Okay. So what is this next dance gonna show us?
let's see. And let me remind you,
Yeah,
Shiro.
there's another Alice in Wonderland parallel with these lyrics.
And allow me to remind you, Shiro. At this point, Baby Doll has established social links with all of the other girls. So obviously,
She gets tarots based on the Arcana.
no, they're all gonna join her in her own dream world.
Oh. But
There you
we
go.
didn't.
Oh,
see
now
this
it's the World War
happen.
One setting.
So there you go. Now we're in the World War One world from the Trenches short that we saw earlier.
This girl has a wild imagination.
Well, but look at
Okay,
that,
now
Shiro.
we're
Now
in
we
a
get to see
church.
women shooting Nazi zombies.
In the remains of Rams, I think.
And now we're in Call of Duty, I guess.
So now basically...
Now it should be a first-person camera like that scene in the Doom movie.
Okay, so guys, here's how the formula will go. Stick, yes, I will call him Stick because Stick's a better character, Stick here will essentially be mission command for our angels here.
Basically, yeah.
He's
I'm
basically.
just thinking of Kung Fury at this point.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
me too.
That was such a better movie that we commentated on.
Not just that, again, with the outfit and the katana and the heavy fire weapon, in contrast with the setting, just for pure fan service, I'm also reminded of Nier Automata, even though that was entirely the point. While Zack Snyder, if I recall correctly, never really did address this in marketing and just say, I just like girls in skimpy outfits.
Like, honestly, this movie should have just gone for a Kung Fury thing. Like, have all this outlandish stuff going on and maybe have it loosely connected by a plot. The problem is that these are arguably the best parts of the film, and none of them really do matter in the grand scheme
Not
of
just that,
things.
Jova. The movie takes itself way too seriously, even in these imaginary spots.
I
this
know,
is,
right?
It's interesting because a very okay. I get I
It's
get
the typical
the,
Zack Snyder
considering her I get that considering her life so far has been misery. I get her outlook on life being dour.
Okay. Basically, Shiro, this is a recurring issue in Zack Snyder's movies. Like, there's little to no humor in, like, it's all everything is always dark.
I don't
and
know. This is
serious.
hilarious.
The humor that it is always
I mean intentional humor.
not just that.
I know.
When Zack tries, it's mostly dark comedy or again pushing the cynicism angle, which again in itself wouldn't be really a problem. But I do believe it does push the button a bit too much.
I guess, to be fair...
Like, for example, look at this. The mech
There's a
suit,
robot.
the mech suit, which has the funny design on the front, represent the quirkiness of a personality of the oh god, that CGI isn't aged well. Again, that's supposed to be, a slightly stressful reliever situation to showcase that, they're trying to inject some minor humor.
Guys.
Okay.
So it's okay to kill them.
Mhm. By the way, this World War One, this entire World War One sequence had various minor cuts done to them over the course of the theatrical cut.
Pedro,
I'm
Well,
not going to list them
altering-
because there's a lot of them.
Basically throwing down the violence, I guess.
Pedro, if
Go,
these
go,
are
go.
Nazis, it can't be World War One then.
Oh, really?
Nazis
Oh,
weren't a
yeah.
thing until World War II.
Okay, like maybe the trenches were probably threw me off. Whatever. It's a world war. It's not like this even is happening anyway. So it's like hey Jova, maybe that's it. Maybe Baby Doll is imagining World War One with World War II enemies. That's how imaginative she is.
Wouldn't surprise me. Again, Zack is a fan of Frank Miller, and he's the king of trying to push anachronistic things, to push his own narrative.
So yeah, maybe.
Again, decent action scenes, but it's hard for me to care when I know that none of this stuff matters in the grand scheme. It's similar to the issue I have with Bridge to Terabithia here. The marketing was
Honestly, Jova, Bridge to
yeah.
Terabithia had even less. Bridge to Terabithia had only like a bunch of descriptive stuff with, just some establishing. Here, at least there is some action.
Yeah, I
sure,
guess to be fair, I guess I could
finish.
say I had more fun with this than Bridge to Terabithia. And that's sad.
Well, this movie does have visual style to it, so at the very least, it is pleasing to look at least. So there's
True.
that. But anyway, Shiroi, what do you think of the action scenes? Since you haven't mentioned about that.
I mean, it's fine. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're the best thing about it so far, anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Like, no, if there's one thing I can give Zack Snyder is that he's an incredibly strong visual director. Problem is that that's really the extent of his talent, really.
Okay, look.
Okay, so have I missed anything other than pew 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 pew?
Not really, no.
Okay. If the movie was literally just about women doing awesome stuff, well, yeah, there you go, mission accomplished. These are women and they're doing awesome stuff, and it doesn't feel as much in your face about them being women, per se. No, again, the problem is the overall connecting plot. When you think about it... Uh-oh. Yeah, indeed.
Grenade.
It's funny, the more... the more I think about it, the more I realize that this shares a lot of problems with the original trilogy of Assassin's Creed, where the best stuff is obviously the stuff that has technically already occurred or
Yeah.
is not necessarily in the real world, whereas the actual plot connecting them all is the weaker narrative.
Hey, Shiori and Jova.
What?
You never thought you'd see Gabriella kicking Nazi zombie ass, did you?
No, I didn't.
Again, you
Well,
know,
there you go, Shiori. Here's the spin-off to High School Musical that you never knew you wanted.
Remember, Shiro, you live long enough and you end up seeing everything.
I mean, hey, I've seen Troy Bolton go on to do some pretty interesting things himself.
Maybe I will actually see Justin Bieber doing something awesome one
And
day.
don't even get me started on what we've seen Hannah Montana doing after she stopped being Hannah Montana.
That's the thing too. Ever since he had that problems with the law,
I know.
He kind of shut his own career basically.
Just
Also,
like
to
he
be
shot
fair-
the cop in CSI. Hilarious.
But yeah, Jove, I mean, to be fair, at least Miley actually dealt with her issues.
True, she did. Shame about what happened with her marriage with Liam Hemsworth, though. I didn't really go through. But yeah, she has by this point dealt with them.
Also, like, seriously, girls, that's your problems. The fact that you actually had to separate. The good thing about World War One weaponry was the fact that using the bayonet combined a ranged weapon with a close quarter combat one. If you do, why do we have a flintlock?
Because it looks awesome, damn it!
It looks awesome too, and that's as far as Zack thought it through.
Yeah, especially because she's not using for the intended purpose.
It's like J.J. Abrams if you were on coke.
I mean,
Pretty
if you want to have like an Irish parallel to be, because I guess she's Reddit, why not having their traditional close quarter combat weapon, shillelagh?
Another positive I would like to bring up.
Didn't the J.J. Abrams film come out in the same year this did?
No, the movie that came out, JJ's that came out last year was, in my opinion, his best movie, Super 8.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
But anyway, here's another positive I can bring up. The actresses themselves actually went through a 12-month training period, so they could do most of the stunts themselves. So I will give them props for that.
Again, it really is.
It's been so easy. So Zack, to his credit, he had the cast working at the top of their game.
Yeah,
So,
like
there's that.
there definitely is a level of integrity to Zack Snyder that I can definitely respect.
Oh, and there's the one that in the flashbacks, I think.
That's when it comes to this filmmaking, Jova, I will agree with you there. When it comes to his reaction to criticism, that's where I start taking issues.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the weirdest Killzone spin-off I've ever seen.
Don't worry, Liz. I'll bring it up in my final thoughts.
Yeah, I have to say, the inspiration from these actually reminds me a bit also of the Hellgast from... Well, to be fair, no, this was 2000... This was 2001. No, actually, not 2011, my bad. But
Could you imagine Zack Snyder making a live-action adaptation of an anime manga?
Well, with this type of fan service and everything, I could see him trying at least a potential adaptation of Kill la Kill, but he will remove all the humor and instead think of it, the anime is all about the family issues between the two main characters and the main villain. So.
But like I said, I will give it credit. You can call this movie a lot of things, but one thing it is not, at least technically speaking, is lazy. You can call it lazy when it comes to the writing. But in terms of the technical and performance aspects, yeah, there was definitely a lot of effort put into this.
Honestly,
the problem is that as a result, it just makes all of these wasted, in any kind of way.
Oh, it does. I'm just trying to give credit where credit is due. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call the writing lazy, just high.
Yeah, high on itself, yeah.
Well, Dwebs, that's the thing. I would argue it's lazy because it doesn't even bother to properly explain how the hell the imagination of this movie even works.
I think instead of
lazy... It's imagination, it doesn't need logic.
Okay. I think instead of lazy, I would call it extremely confused. Anyway,
sure, let's go with that.
Basically,
this... I mean, it's when's imagination ever...
Sure.
Now, if I can give the action scenes some credit as well, they do have some correlation to what's going on in mind you, the hallucination reality. I hate that I have to specify that.
Hey, Zach, could you please stop shaking the camera? Okay, thanks.
We need to
buddy.
simulate someone running, Pedro.
Go
Sorry.
ahead, Joe. Go ahead, Joe.
Essentially, this is supposed to simulate them trying to get the map, which is part of what they need to get out of the asylum/brothel here and there. So, fair point on this, and I guess you could say that it helps showcase how tense the situation is as Rocket is trying to sneak in to get it.
I'll get you next time, girls. Next time.
Hey, Shiroi, allow me to simplify what Jova just said. This is level 1, and you have to defeat the final boss to get the map, so you can move on to level 2.
Yeah, seriously, why wasn't a video game adaptation of this movie?
Hell, this
Oh,
should have been
look,
video
a
game.
conveniently placed mortar. Let me use it.
I can barely even see what's going on in this entire segment.
Is it too dark or something?
Too fast,
Yes.
I think.
No, it's too dark. Like,
That's the thing.
It's
No,
not
I mean in terms
that
of the
big,
look,
it's
not.
on the TV.
That's the
yeah,
thing, Shiroi.
that's what
the-
I mean. The look.
That's the thing, Shiroi. This look that you're looking at right now, this is Zack Snyder's trademark visual.
Oh
look.
no, the humanity!
As Man of Steel also looks like
I
this.
see what you're referencing there, T.
Batman v Superman also looks like this. Watchmen looks like this. Like pretty much all these
The
movies
parts
look
of-
like this.
The parts of Justice League from Zack Snyder's original vision 5 in the original version is like
Can't
this.
wait to see the Snyder cut just to see how insanely dark it is. Yeah.
I surrender!
Surrender is for French.
Oh.
Thanks for the gun.
Oh, hello. How did you survive the crashing?
Or any of this.
What, are they trying to use the force choke? The guards behind them. No.
Yeah, seriously, she's gonna be killed anyway. Might as well try this.
Hold on, let me do my incredibly awesome throw first.
They could have just shot her. Oh,
There's the Mac.
Again, these action
I
scenes
must go
are.
now. My planet needs me, I guess.
I forgot. I already forgot. Maybe they'll die back on their way back to their planet. Through lobotomy.
She was always going to die, because...
And this was the dance maneuver, I guess.
Yep,
Yes.
look at how much she's sweating from that.
This is
Yes,
a very
it-
weird... you were running around on the... Jumping around all over the place. What kind of dance was that?
I call it the trench retrieval.
And I call it running around all over the place like a crazy person. 0 out of 10. Next.
Oscar, we're filming.
Oscar, your big break won't be for another 4 years or so.
It's interesting. It's interesting because the way he looks. It's interesting because Oscar Isaac went on to be Gomez Adams in the new Adams Family film, and right now he
He
pretty much
kind of
looks-
He
looks
does look like
a bit
him.
thinner, but yeah, it does look like it has the
Oh,
look
Julia.
for it.
Well, Julia was also thin too. It's
I'm more
mostly-
used to the cartoon incarnation.
Oh, he was also... Isaac was also very good in Ex Machina.
Okay. No, but Taylor's right. What Charles Adams' original drawing was that Gomez is kind of a short, fat guy. So
In Mortisian contrast, he's the slim, tall one.
Yeah, I'll admit, I kind of prefer his more stout, thin, well, not too skinny, but, relatively thin look, as opposed to...
Actually, I forgot who plays him in the movie, but whatever, it's off topic. I'll check it on my own.
Raul Julia.
No, the live action ones.
That's it. Raul Julia.
Huh, they were done before the Street Fighter movie?
They were 1991 and 1993. Street Fighter was in 1994.
Okay.
Oh, this scene. Listen here. Oh, no, this is not the one. Never mind.
God, I forget if she actually does do something about the cook in the real world.
No,
so-
it's a reference to what happened before. Remember, the
No,
cook
no,
tried to
no.
assault her,
I
and she
know.
intervened.
Dude, I know that. I'm just saying, I'm trying to remember if she actually does do something about the cook in the real world.
That's the thing, Joe. We don't even know who the cook actually is in the real world because they never show it.
Actually, they did. He was the one
did?
cutting the onions.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Oh, never. Oh, so I guess
Yeah.
she imagined the cook into a cook.
Well,
I guess
that-
maybe they'll run out of ideas.
Well, that's what I said. I'm trying to remember if that thing even occurs in the real world from what we're shown later on.
Well, to be fair, Pedro, she only had like a split second to think of everything, and she didn't have enough time to do everything.
Okay. You have to understand, everybody, that the bits of this movie that actually take place in the real world are so brief that it's so easy to miss things. You know.
It's hard to care about any world in particular. Like, okay, let's put this into perspective. As far as the real world goes, we know Baby Doll is pretty much about to be sent to sleep with the fishes, essentially, by being lobotomized. We don't really care about what's happening in this hallucination world because, well, it sort of is interlocked with what's going on in the real world and goes back and forth and back and forth. And unfortunately, as a result, we don't get to care for the scenes that people paid money to come and see, the action scenes, because those matter the least, because they are literally the innermost hallucination thing. And they're essentially representations.
I mean, I'm not speaking from that perspective, Jova, because, again, I didn't see the movie in theaters, and I wasn't, that attracted because of the trailers. But I do enjoy them from what they are. I guess I would be more pissed if, like you just said, I actually was convinced by the trailers and I actually had paid to see the movie. But as for the movie in itself, again, I can actually view this as just a bunch of failed concepts that Zack wanted to do in Warner Bros.
And as for Jamie Chung, honestly, compared to a film she was in 2 years before this is kind of an upgrade.
Oh, what movie was that?
Dragon Ball Evolution.
Oh, God, she was Bulma?
No, she,
Yeah.
was she
Was
Bulma?
she?
She was either Bulma or...
She was Chi-Chi.
I was about to
Chi-Chi,
say,
oh,
yeah,
God.
Chi-Chi.
Yeah, you're right, actually. Now that you tell me, yeah, it is.
Okay,
Chi-Chi.
yeah,
Oh, crap.
that is definitely a step
And
up.
also, to be fair, she's also in Big Hero 6. She plays Go-Go.
Nice.
Oh, this bit, yeah. Mark Twain. Oh, fuck off, Zach. You like.
Well, considering how schools these days actually actively want to censor it in Mark Twain, I guess this is more of a blessing.
Oh, did you
Yeah.
notice that moment with Carla Gugino,
Shaking her boobs, yeah.
That was removed from the theatrical cut.
I wonder why.
Oh no, she shakes her breasts.
Like she's adjusting
your
the bra
children.
or whatever. Like,
Okay.
That's the thing, Shira. The MPAA apparently
Oh.
demanded that be removed for Zach to get his PG
Roger Ebert, what are you doing here?
It does look
Man,
like
Roger
him,
even
doesn't it?
really let himself go, didn't he?
They actually invited him so he could not give a thumb down to the movie. And why do we have this particular pop?
I'm
Oh,
here
okay.
to welcome into
Lasciamo le
you.
mani.
But yeah, Joe brought up a good point. Here's what is even if I'm going to accept this whole, coping mechanism bullcrap, here's another problem. The big problem with this movie
Wait,
is that
you're bringing Queen into this now?
yes.
Are you surprised?
We are.
Gibbs?
With a very bad remix, I might add, because it's like
Yeah, I don't
hip-hop
like this
rap
remix.
modern.
Yeah, I don't. I know that a lot of people like this soundtrack, but I'm
All
not
right,
a fan,
Dibs.
personally.
Well, if you have heard it, of course. What the Queen remix is worse to you? This one or Crazy Frogs, We Are the Champions?
I haven't even heard that one.
Don't. It's terrible.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that was a
Well, it's
thing.
from Crazy Frog. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well,
But anyway, Jova brought up a good point earlier. The big problem with this movie, at least to me, is the fact that there's zero, and I mean zero, characterization given to any of our female heroes. Like, seriously, what do we know about any Baby Doll, or even any of the other characters for that matter?
and
They're good
remember,
at dancing.
We don't
remember.
even see the dancing.
Well, he convinces everyone around, so we had to be good at something to
Right.
convince them.
remember this deal. It's in regards to the real characters, we pretty much know next to nothing. Like any characterization we've gotten out of them is from
Yeah,
this
that's the
hallucination
phase
here.
of the boner. Yeah.
The whole convoluted anyway because these aren't even like even if the characters were
Same.
even if yeah I guess like this is still in her imagination. This isn't what they're actually like even.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
there's that too. Yeah.
Especially
I'm
under the circumstances that she met them. It's like she wouldn't know what they were
So
like.
now what do
and-
we
I
have?
actually have
The
something to say
train?
about that, Shiroi, at the end.
Sure.
Oh, by the way, I love how the subtitles characterize this guy as the wise man.
Yeah, that's his actual name in the credits as well to Jova. He's just the wise
Oh,
man.
the dragon bit. Okay.
Is
So-
the girls are on screen a lot and we see them doing a lot, but we don't see much of them.
It really just seems like
Yeah.
this movie is basically a vehicle for these high intense action scenes, and like I said, these would make for pretty great short movies in and of themselves. Hell, even live action shorts, as it were. And, maybe if this movie were billed as, like, something like, if this movie were, say, like, Moonwalker, which is literally just an excuse to have all these bunch of music videos for Michael Jackson.
Oh, well,
probably could've
Jova,
worked
for another
better.
comparison for other trippy stuff that's not necessarily connected to each other, how about heavy metal?
Yeah, heavy metal. I mean, that has, like, a loose tying plot device, but yeah. I mean,
Honestly, to put it much more simply, style over substance.
pretty much.
Yeah, I can actually can get behind understanding.
Like I said, in regards to female empowerment movies, if this was literally just about the girls doing awesome stuff, there's
That
your
would be
female
fine.
empowerment.
Okay, Warner Bros.
actually-
Yes, you did the Lord of the Rings movies. I understand
Well,
that.
technically, New Line Cinema did.
Well, now you
I'll
acquired the
expand-
property, so
I'll expand on what you just said, Jova. I get it. The idea is that these girls are, they've been, sexually used by men in the brothel. But now they're taking control of their
superior
sexuality.
vending.
Yeah, they're taking control of their sexuality and taking advantage of the men to get what they want by using it as their own weapon. I get that, and that's what these sequences are supposed to be a metaphor for. I get that. But at the same time, it sends conflicting messages when you do this with, skimpy schoolgirl outfits and occasional ass and panty shots, plus that rape scene that Shiri also pointed out with the cook.
Like I said, there are ways to work with the skimpiness here. Like shows like Kill la Kill revel in that stuff, essentially.
Also,
Yeah.
if I may, just to carry on
Go
with what you were saying, Pedro. I
ahead.
mean, skimpy out. I'm not saying you were saying this, by the way, but skimpy outfits aren't necessarily degrading. If a woman wants to wear this or that, she can wear this or that. It doesn't actually matter. Case in point, Bayonetta.
I guess.
Oh yeah.
It's only weird
Sure.
when you try to incorporate a school uniform into this, which is
I guess you could say the idea is like, well, that this is like her avatar in this reality here and there, but
but it's still literally a Sailor Fuku though, which is
okay.
It would
okay.
also help if they made the said female characters interesting. Wouldn't that be the best way of empowering little girls watching this, to have characters that are really cool, not just visually but also as people?
Should little girls be watching this though?
Well,
No.
remember, Dwebs, Zack went through 5 re-edits before he finally convinced the MPAA to allow this at PG-13 rating for theaters.
Also, Shira, I actually look forward to hear your opinion when I actually get to record Lollipop Chainsaw.
So yeah, Zack went out of his way
Sure.
Dwebs, to try to make this viewable to young girls. Yes.
Actually, yeah.
I would have to say I'm agreeing with Joe that this so far out of the imaginary spot sequences, this seems to be the more interesting to me.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's very again the visuals and the action set pieces are pretty damn cool because there's a lot of imagination here. The problem is, again, like we've been saying, it's all for naught.
Well, Joe, considering the amalgamation of elements, this is like an unholy combination of Bimbos in Time and the Exiles.
Yeah. Although
Bimbos in Time, that sounds like a parody.
It was allegedly was supposed to be like the creator did say that he wanted to create the worst comic book in the world, but it's iffy as a claim, as you can imagine, because it's the kind of situation where was it really intentional? Like when Tommy Wiseau claimed that there was supposed to be a comedy all along.
Sounds so weird. Like, why would you as a professional want to do that? I mean, could you imagine
It wasn't professional. It was during the boom of the indie comic industry, like with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So there was a lot of experimentation from people who had no money.
I mean, can you imagine if Akira Hina suddenly decided, you know what, I'm going to make the worst game ever?
Dwibs. I've got to tell you about this. Dwibs, have I ever told you the story of Tom Green?
Oh, what a horrible CGI
Isn't that the guy who was in Freddy Got...
Yes, in fact, Freddy Got Fingered was literally his passion project. And you know what he did for the Razzie Awards? He showed up with a red carpet and everything. He intended for that movie to go down in history.
Okay, Shiro, you know the secret of the Animal Kingdom. What's the best course to
Disney own that movie now, so...
Wait, Disney owned Freddy Got
Wait.
It was a Fox film.
Oh, you need to scratch its neck. Okay.
Oh, so I didn't actually hear your question because...
I didn't know. Don't kill the baby dragon. Poor Spyro. What has he done to you?
That's mean-spirited.
Well, I mean, didn't the dragon try and kill them first?
Did this get cut too?
The dragon was just sleeping, minding its own business, dude. That's the thing.
What did you extract it? Like it's like a stone?
You'll see.
Pedro, was this in the cut you saw, or was this like...
No. This is kind of remember, this is how they get the item.
I mean,
so
it
it
was
has
a great
to be in
looking,
the.
model.
Remember, this is the fire, aka the lint that they had to get.
Apparently, the very mesmerizing fire.
The Zippo, yeah.
Not the lint, the lighter. Sorry. Ugh.
Yeah.
It's just because baby doll. Why don't you write in the blackboard lighter instead of fire? That wouldn't, I don't know, just...
Don't you see, though? Fire sounds more symbolic.
Unless I missed something.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Unless I missed something, how did they know it was from that specific dragon?
The recap told them, remember, the guy told them, and he told them to not angry the mother, which they just did.
Well, killing the baby is going to anger the mother. I mean...
Hey, Jova.
Yeah?
Mommy's angry.
Pretty much.
Jova, do we have a donkey that we could use as their sexual partner?
Sorry, we don't.
Damn it.
Damn, that was legit sad. She's literally went through...
Yeah, and and I would argue mean-spirited. Okay, I get it. This is a dream. Technically, this never happened. I get that. But still.
I mean, that just feels needlessly cruel, and I get it. They're doing it for the sake of their own freedom, technically, but again... Reminder, this is supposed to be all baby's hallucination, so is her hallucination that she had to kill someone to get what she wanted? Because...
And again, the shorts also helps provide some context by saying that the dragon was the deity that was worshipped by the orcs, supposedly.
I'm guessing the idea is that, Baby Doll actually in the Bravo world killed someone to get that lighter, and that's what the dragon is supposed to be a parallel to. But again, we never actually see that, so that's just me,
speculating,
spitballing.
The parallel is the fact that the lighter actually had a dragon design onto it, so that's not the connection I wanted to. But I forgot to which character actually was holding it.
But seriously though, killing an innocent baby, that's...
At that point,
a very cruel imagination.
At that point, why don't you just say there's just a dragon's late? Why having to kill the baby without having to anger the mother was very specific.
You know what's even worse? We literally see a scene of the mother whimpering over her baby's corpse. Like, dang.
Okay, I think Smeghead from Cinematic Excrement said it best when no, this is the scene. Yeah, okay, hold on.
You motherfucker!
You're in my sight.
Achito? Yes. However, it's going to be censored.
Oh, not even for the extended cut, we say?
Yeah. This was censored in the theatrical cut. But even in the R cut, they still leave it on. Maybe they didn't have the original archived recording anymore.
Unless that's how it originally was. Because
Or
wait,
is that the golden rule of Hollywood? Extra violence is super okay, but you don't, as long as you don't say any naughty words.
That's a good segue, though. Yes, just like the World War scene, this entire sequence was also heavy in here and there over the course of it in the theatrical cut.
I'm pretty sure the dragon slaying had to be edited in some kind of fashion.
The neck cutting, no, because that's how they get the
Wow.
Well, technically, there's not even any blood when she does it, so
Tear,
I can
tear,
see
tear,
why.
tear, tear,
I
tear, tear.
guess, but it's kind of, I guess they operated on the principle just like with robots. It's
a
not a
mythical
human being,
creature.
so it's not an actual animal. So it's okay to showcase this kind of violence.
Yep.
That's a
I
spicy
believe I can
meatball.
fly.
Oh, cool sword design.
That's the sword close-up shot. I hope you enjoyed it.
Notice my directing the movie.
Sure. Zach really wants you to notice how pretty he made his movie look.
I mean, I do notice that actually.
And that insta kills it. What is this, Dark Souls 3? Jesus.
And also the music.
Personally, I'm not a fan of the soundtrack. I find it really distracting, personally.
Yeah, I have to say, of all the Zack Snyder movies, this is the one where the soundtrack dissonance is the more evident to me. Like, I actually didn't mind the one in Watchmen, for example, but this one is
He's golf clapping.
Yes, we get it.
Oh no, it's actually slowed down. Although,
So yeah, that's basically the formula.
My
here,
God,
right?
it even moved Oscar Isaac. It even moved Oscar Isaac to tear.
Baby doll distracts everybody with her dance while the other girls do the thing.
What is he doing? Oh, the Zippo.
I have a question. Where did Baby doll even learn how to dance?
Well, Pedro, remember, this is all hallucination, so in this reality...
Yeah,
yes, it's all in
basically
your
it's
imagination.
self-insertion.
I forgot. It's bad. I mean, a dream. It doesn't have to make sense.
Okay.
You know what, Pedro?
Yes, sure.
Like, this movie probably would have gone down with people better if it was just a silly, stupid action movie
Like
and nothing else.
It's
Sure,
like
you
I
really
said.
just summed up everybody's opinion on this movie.
Oh, but I mean, like not trying to be even a women empowerment thing specifically. I mean, it hasn't even done much of that really. Anyway, it's like,
Again, Shiroi, that's the core problem. Zack wants to take everything super seriously.
Yeah.
But this shouldn't be serious. This should just be stupid and ridiculous.
Sure. Remember, the mind of a 12-year-old horny edgelord boy. That's how they all see. That's how they see things. Everything is cooler when it's edgy and grim and mature and blah blah blah.
Like again, I don't mind the idea in theory. It's just that Zack once again love to push the pedal to the metal.
Not only
this
that,
is
but
one.
No one's
Go
told
ahead.
him no.
Go ahead, Jova. Go ahead.
did we really need 3 layers of reality in this movie? Like, honestly, this movie would have been a lot more upbeat and uplifting if this were just the reality, this and there. I mean,
The escape from the brothel and with just the imaginary sequences explaining the dance, I guess.
like, I do get what Zack Snyder has in mind for the ending with the reality bits, but honestly, it just is such a downer ending that I wonder, why not just make this the reality and have the action scenes be, that. Heck, if anything, you could have given more time to the action scenes because this movie is pretty much stuffed as it is already, we gotta balance out the time better.
Yeah, this
Also,
isn't-
just to reestablish that he's scummy.
That too. But yeah, basically, Blue, and yes, that's his name, Blue. Don't ask me, I didn't write this. Blue is starting to get suspicious that the girls are up to something, so he's trying to see if one of them cracks and tells.
A good villain will actually interrogate them separately instead of doing this kind of thing.
Oh, snap.
We're about to get one of the censored lines.
Why? What
What
kind
are
of...
you, the Joker? I get that
Yeah.
she's very similar to Harley Quinn, but seriously.
Well, at least that raping joke was more subtle than the whole, the one at the beginning of the movie where it was so, overt.
Yeah, maybe
but-
Oscar Isaac. What do you think of Oscar Isaac?
Okay, so that line that we just heard about the pop the smile out of your face, that was another line that was changed for the PG-13 version, where in the PG-13 version, he stops mid sentence in a very awkward way. Let's just say, an awkward edit of sorts. Oh, and by the way, Rocket and Sweet Pea are sisters. Not that that matters, but that's like the one connection this movie establishes between characters.
Also, speak the fuck up.
Love you too.
Hey.
Yeah, Zach, writing one.
Shouldn't she make up her own mind?
Not just that, what Whip said, plus Zach, writing 101. In order for scenes like these to work with conflict between characters and, arguments, you have to first flesh out the characters first. I know that you don't know how to do that, but just a tip.
You would choose her over me, your dear sister. Patuh.
Am I supposed to care now? I
Again,
guess, but
reminder, this is all a hallucination.
it's not even just the hallucination aspect. If they made the characters interesting, I would be more tolerant. But no, they don't. Like, why should I care about Vanessa Hudgens' character, for example? She has been given zero characterization whatsoever.
Like, a lot of these girls are just standing in the background.
They're either in the background or dancing or crying or doing awesome stuff. And don't get me wrong, the doing awesome stuff is fine, but that awesome stuff is technically in the imagination of an imagination.
Which is what I said earlier, yeah.
There's something she wrote. The fans of this movie actually came up with a theory to try to explain that, but I'm going to bring it up only later.
I mean, guess the fact that the brothel is the actual reality and
No, nothing like that too. It has to do with that one scene in the asylum that I was insistent on pointing out. That's why I wanted you guys.
The free girls.
Yeah. Well, didn't you notice, Shira? Those were the free girls that are now with Baby Doll. So you notice, when Baby Doll came to the asylum, she noticed Sweet Pea in the bed, and she noticed the other free girls in that table. Now she's imagining those four girls as her friends in this brothel world.
Why she attached herself to those in particular and none of the others? I don't know.
Because they're the ones that are played by actresses. The other ones are played by extras. So.
Hey, Blue.
How is this empowering if our lead is dying at the end?
You'll see. It's convoluted and stupid, but you'll see.
Sure.
Basically, yeah.
We need your music, Baby Doll.
Wait.
The
Don't you mean her dance? She dances. She doesn't play music.
I guess the idea is that when she dances, music plays because she's a superhero in this reality.
Yeah, Joe, but Zach can barely keep things consistent at the best of times. What makes you think he can keep job occupation consistent?
Yeah.
Wait, so now
Baby Doll, he's a man that comes into a brothel. He's probably not exactly the peak of altruismness, of niceness. Yeah. So yeah, Sweet Peas changed their mind because might as well try to help them if they're gonna do it. So it's like that argument from before was a waste of our time, wasn't it? All right, time to distract the cook with another dance. I started to see a pattern here, Shiroi.
Yes.
Thank you for
Thanks
that
for
rear end shot.
That was charming.
Don't you see? Both the men and women get
You see-
rear end shots.
You see, Miss Shiroi, in order to properly balance out, I have ass shots for the men too. See, that way I'm not being sexist.
Oh boy, here we
So
go.
what's gonna happen here?
The
Well,
last
he's
scenario,
gonna-
but we need the one on the train.
Oh, I know what those means actually.
Yeah, now we're gonna go into the dream sequence from the train short.
Again, subtlety. Even though they're actually going to kill him.
Teo, I told you, that word doesn't exist in Zack's dictionary.
Shiny.
Alright, so what other mad 12-year-old horny Edgelord fantasy are you gonna throw in as this time,
Oh, hey,
Zack?
Saturn.
Although guys, believe it or not, sometime within the next year or so, depending on when it comes out, Netflix is going to be releasing Zack Snyder's second attempt at making an original movie.
And that is...
It's called Army of the Dead. It's a zombie heist movie.
Oh,
Zombie
great.
heist movie. Okay,
Well,
that does
yeah,
sound kind of interesting.
So Zack is going back to his roots, I guess, after the Snyder Cut. Sure.
And it stars Batista.
Huh. Again,
Well, I love Batista, so that's fine by me.
Again, zombie heist movie. That actually... I don't think I've heard of that one before.
And it's apparently going to have both a prequel movie and an anime series attached to it.
I don't know, Zack. Last time you tried doing that, it didn't work out.
And if you look to your right, you will see Jupiter. It's ascending.
Or for whatever reason.
Yeah. If you look on your right, you the movie bombed just as hard as this one.
Yeah.
So let's see. Will this
There you go.
movie
See,
be able to...
this is the train.
Which was
There you go.
also an original movie from a Warner Brothers regular.
Again, sets...
Well, regulars, but yeah.
So
Yeah,
in this...
regulars, yeah.
So in this set, we are essentially in an atmosphere where you can literally see the planets outside, but it leads
yet
to
you
a
can breathe
futuristic looking
normally.
city. Yes.
But it looks cool, so that's okay.
I have to admit, it actually does.
It does.
It does too. It's just that you can only go so far with the rule of cool.
Well, I mean, it's like Shiroi said, if this were just, a punk awesome movie which had, these action scenes just loosely tied together in some action, there you go. That's the movie.
Just take yourself less seriously, and actually trim down on the more, weight edgy parts, and you should be good to go. Boop. Oh, there we go. We are robots.
But don't you see, Teo, if I did that, I wouldn't be able to tell a psychologically complex story. No, I'm not kidding. The Zack Snyder, in one of his interviews, you can look it up on YouTube. He says that he tried to make a psychology-driven film.
I'm sure he believes that. It's just that the end result is not gonna, match up with what people think all the time.
Yep,
Now
robots.
there we go. There's something for sure.
And even then, Teo, like, in order for us to examine the psychology of the characters in a movie, we have to first get to know the characters.
Again, as far as we know these characters in reality, the majority of these girls are literally insane.
Well, Java,
that's a good point that Java brings up, actually.
Look in reverse. What do you see in these sequences that tells you about these characters?
Well, that they're all...
They like jumping around and slashing.
Yeah, pretty much.
But Lids, you like cool action, don't you? Here's some cool action.
Okay, the idea of
The
making...
action's not cool. About half the time, I can barely see.
Okay. If I'm to be...
It's like bloody. It's like if the final fight scene in Pacific Rim were a whole movie.
Okay,
October.
I'll admit, now that I'll admit, I'm kind of having a better time with this movie than I did my first time. Do not get me wrong, the movie still sucks, but I guess now that I actually know what's what, more than I did the first time watching this, I guess I do have more time to actually appreciate how good the action scenes are. That said, it still does not mitigate the issue that these scenes in the long run do not matter. But to answer your question, Tio, the idea of a scene like this is to maybe give a hint of what the characters are, and then we see their reality counterparts to see what they're like, if we're doing it in the reverse means here and there. The problem is that, again, as far as the personality of these heroes go, it's just, well, they're mad as hell and they ain't gonna take it anymore. Which, I guess you could say kind of correlates to the hallucination reality. But again, the main thing is like, well, we should be wondering what they're like in the real world for there to be a clear correlation. Like, the fact that... Okay, the fact that the world we keep going back to for the most of this movie is a hallucination in and of itself kind of suggests that, well, the way they act here is pretty much the same as how they act in the hallucinated reality.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where, like, okay, whatever personality, and I'm putting personality in quotations, mind you, these characters might have in these dream worlds, they don't. As far as the movie is concerned, they're just imagined personalities by Baby Doll herself.
Sorry, go on.
We don't have any. There's absolutely no reason to think that this is how the girls actually are in the real asylum world.
My real question is another. Like, if you bother to actually construct these illusions, including, with the other people that are included in the asylum, why don't you include also your sister in it?
Well, because
like, if it's supposed to be your ultimate fantasy, why don't you also include a figure you're actually more familiar with, a loved one?
And now you know part of why I was confused as to why I thought the hallucinated reality was actually reality to this movie, because
there's the disturbing implication of having to include a little girl in a brothel setting, but I'm sure you can make it work without having to make it creepy.
No, I actually have an idea too. The little sister could be only in these high fantasy sections.
Instead of Scott Glenn as the voice control.
But no. There is no third super extended cut that has that too. Sorry.
Oh, so what is this? Is this going to be like Terminator 2, where there's two versions, where there's like three versions?
Dweebs, just don't bother checking instead on Blade Runner. There's like 3 or 4 different cuts of it.
Well, I saw the most recent cut.
Okay.
The final cut, yeah.
Quote unquote final.
There actually is too a free disc Blu-ray edition of this movie that has both cuts in it.
Oh shit, they failed?
Oh, let's just see what happens.
No.
Well, that happened. There you go. See, the problem in the brothel world screwed up what's happening in the train world.
Oh snap! He realized what she was doing.
Shit!
Oh, that's it. It's raping time.
Again. Oh, yes, another.
How many kitchen knives do you have on you?
But Sanji told me that chefs don't use knives to kill people.
Let's see how this reflects in this world.
Someone set up as the bomb.
We obtained the signal.
So basically, how this correlates is essentially Rocket sacrificing
herself.
Okay, now this is actually a good bout of correlation here and there.
Yeah, you see, Zach, do more of this, then maybe this could work.
There was also some potential stuff before. Remember when the girls were arguing with each other? Some were more inclined to actually let it go, others to talk about to Oscar Isaac, and giving up. So there is at least a hint that we wanted to diversify these characters. No.
Oh, guys, Rocket is going to die, so we all need a moment of silence, clearly, so we can all cope. You know? Because Rocket was so wonderful and incredibly interesting of a character.
This is one of the few other things that actually will get some correlation in the real world.
Yeah,
I
don't even remember.
You remember that passing scene we see?
Well, we'll get to it, I guess. I'll see for myself.
Ah, so this is basically the bad ending of Batman Begins, where the train actually blows up.
Well, actually, it's more than the train. The entire city is blowing up.
Yeah, so
remember that was the intent of Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
Yes, this is
well,
what
actually,
happens.
well, not exactly.
This is what happens if you fail to fight the final boss in the video game adaptation.
Well, actually, wasn't the train just gonna blow the whole water supply so it was gas?
Oh yeah, the idea is that Ra's al Ghul wanted to spread his gas throughout the entire city of Gotham. Yeah. But anyway, Rocket, not Rocket. And no, this is not cool. And no, this is not Rocket from Guardians of the Galaxy. So she's nowhere near as cool. So, sorry.
Oh yeah, something about their mother being
Jenna
out there
Malone
waiting
as
for them.
Raccoon.
Yeah, sorry, it's a bit too late to start developing these characters now. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a very interesting way to develop a character after they died.
That's what it's called, fridging, and everyone loves that.
Then again, doesn't a certain cartoon try that?
Which one?
I'm not going to mention it because I might end up spoiling it. But apparently, the cartoon tries to develop, give a character development after they die.
Well, technically that can work. Shenmue does that. Like, it depends on how you do it.
You only have to follow the train, CJ.
Wow.
Okay. I have to point this out. Notice how Blue just told Amber, you got Sweet Pea for tonight's show. So she and Sweet Pea are gonna perform at tonight's show.
No, Pedro. He said that she's got Sweet Pea's slot, since you know.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. Never mind. Yeah. Amber, he just said Amber is gonna perform in tonight's show. Keep that in mind for the next scene.
What did I miss?
You missed an entire action sequence of exploding trains.
By the way, sure, Rocket got stabbed, so she's dead now.
Yeah, Rocket died. So I know that you need a few moments to cope with that. So
wait,
no.
If I recall correctly, I think that's the last action scene we get from this movie.
Pretty much. We're actually, I guess we need to reach a climax territory at some point.
So, I hope you enjoyed the action scenes for what they were worth, because from now on, it's pretty much now the hallucination reality, which I guess is kind of more interesting than reality. But like I said here, the best thing about this movie are the action scenes.
Alright, this scene is where the writing gets really inconsistent, so listen.
I mean, I know I'm a complete bastard, but I try.
Oscar Isaac is a pimp.
Man, Oscar Isaac seems to have some pretty bad luck with his career. Hell, even for movies that seem like they're gonna be a slam dunk, they eventually end up being part of franchises that go off the rails.
What, you're gonna use your belt to whip them?
I hate having egg on my face. Oh god. The fact that I can compare this to The Spirit says a lot.
Ooh. Yeah, notice what he just said. Your lover, your employer. In the theatrical cut, that line was changed to your protector, and your employer. So yeah, and not to mention.
What was
allow
that
me to-
weird line delivery that I just said? Your employer.
Yeah, I
What
know.
the hell was that?
But not just that, Lips. That line in general. Your father, your lover, your employer. You? Like,
I get what he's.
fuck.
I get what he's supposed to be saying, but by God, the wording there. Also, yeah.
Oh, so now all of a sudden you hate him? You didn't seem to... Whatever, go ahead.
The idea with her is that I guess in secret.
Oh, she's the one who snitched.
Yes, she's the one that snitched. Yes. God damn it,
Yes.
Vanessa. I know that this movie's crap, but did you really need to boycott it?
Get snitches, get bitches, I guess.
No honor among
Thieves.
gals, I guess? I don't know. Come on, Vanessa. We sisters stick together.
You know, those were simple words. Why didn't you actually delete it?
Yeah, exactly. Smeghead from Cinematic Excrement said that too in his review.
You
Yeah,
literally
he
could have
didn't
erased
bother
that.
rubbing it out. It's so easy.
Also, I know
They
that,
were
like...
begging to get caught.
Also, I know that he has a gun, but you're like a gajillion of them. You're telling me that you have no, like, instinctual survival of actually trying to, you know, outnumber him.
I guess the
Alright.
idea is that he has
Oh, here
body.
you go. And now
And-
he kills Amber.
Why he killed Amber, I don't know. You know, to
You know,
quote,
you know, if you kill every one of them, you don't have a business.
You know,
don't realize
Oh,
that.
exactly.
you know. Hold
yeah,
on, hold on.
Apocalypse
Dude.
killed-
And now he kills her too.
Okay. To quote Peter Pan 2003, quite exciting. 2 dead already.
You know, if Apocalypse killed people that more directly, it'd be more interesting.
Oh my God! When you get
So-
down to it, he is a more effective villain than Apocalypse. Well,
All right. That will. Sorry. Go ahead.
from the movie X-Men Apocalypse, anyway. So yeah, Amber and God, who was the other one he shot?
Vanessa Hudgens' character, I think it's Vera.
Whatever.
They're
Whatever.
dead, basically.
Whatever. Gabriella and Jamie Chung are. Oh, so Gabriella and Chi-Chi are dead.
Yes.
Isn't
Oh, and now
Now
he's gonna try. He's saying, you know what? Fuck the high roll. I'm just gonna take you for myself.
Why even? Okay, I get it. This is supposed to reflect how much of a bastard he is in real life, but villain-wise, he is suffering absolute villain decay here. Maybe you could say it's about of him getting nervous, but supposedly his word is law here, and he seems to have no reason to fear whatsoever. So, yeah, why in the hallucination reality he's, acting this way is beyond me. Also, guys, if you cared about the girl characters in the hallucination reality, well, most of them are dead now.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I don't even.
They're dead in real life too.
I don't even know if that's
You'll
official. I
see.
don't even remember if that's the case. Jova says it is, but we'll see. But anyway, might as well talk about the changes that were made to this entire sequence. When he kills Vanessa Hudgens' character in the theatrical cut, he only shots 1 bullet instead of 2. Also, this rape scene is trimmed down in the theatrical cut, but enjoy Zack's original vision.
Okay, here's what I don't get. What is up with slimy people in these kinds of moves that go like, hey,
Yay!
I know I've done all this.
Well, okay.
And now we finally got the key, which was the item we were looking for. There you go. See, this wasn't the plan, but it worked
Well, it is
Improvise.
now, so you
I
know.
altered the deal. Pray that I don't do it again.
basically, yeah. All right, I have to break this down because that scene was a whole lot of stupid. Okay, so Blue. So Blue told that Amber was going to be on tonight's show, and then he kills her. Okay, if you wanted to kill one of the girls to make an example, why didn't you just kill Vanessa Hudgens?
I guess the
aren't the
idea-
audience waiting in there as well when they hear gunshots?
I suppose the idea was like, well, he wanted to lead them in with a false sense of security, supposedly.
Maybe.
But I forget
Supposedly.
it. It's bad. I mean, dream. It doesn't have to make
I
sense.
was going to say that, like they should probably hear the gunshot from where they're sitting, but at the same time, this movie's music is so loud, there's a bloody chance they didn't.
Sure.
So
wait,
yeah, now Baby Doll and Sweet Pea have to escape alone. Go ahead, Jova.
maybe the idea is like, well, if a scene does not include Baby Doll, does it really happen? Because technically this is in her head.
Yeah, but behold, Shiroi, believe it or not, the stupidest plot twist is yet to come.
It's
Oh,
almost
God.
a Steven Universe problem where telling the story from his perspective ruined a lot of things.
I know, right?
Like there's lack of context, stuff doesn't make sense, and well, we're about to get what is apparently bullshit. Well, more bullshit.
Is that from Future that you're describing, or is it something else?
No,
No,
Steven-
the entire show is told from Steven's perspective,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and that
Yeah,
actually
so basically, Steven
that hinders
Universe
the
is never good.
writers
0 out of
in
10.
several aspects.
Sure.
So basically, Shiroi Steven Universe was never good.
I'm not touching that one.
Anyway, okay. So we have a
Oh
problem.
boy, here we go.
There's a lot of people guarding the gate. So what do we do now?
Make cars
Green.
explode.
Just walk
Sorry,
past
Theo,
them as if it
was
was a
that-
very, very bad stealth game.
Sorry, Teo, we ran out of imaginary fantasies.
Again, it just reinforces my idea that this was just a masqueraded, proof of concept that
Hold
Zack
on.
wanted to show
Hold on,
to Warner Bros.
How's it come to that?
Hold on. Remember how the wise men said there was a hidden fifth item? Guess who the fifth item is?
Herself.
Yeah, there, they just said.
It was in her all along.
Don't you see? Don't you see?
Hold on, Jova. I love what she says now. I want to pick apart this one specific line she's about to say.
It sounds like they're flirting with each other when they call them by those names. I can't do this, baby. You have to, Sweet Pea.
Yeah, I know, right?
Honestly, all that's missing is them making out.
Now is not the time.
Yeah, time and place, Jova. I usually would be the first to ship someone, but time and place.
Guys, it's in her mind, so for all we know, it is the right time and place.
And let's
There is
see.
no other way.
This is right. Okay, so I love this line here.
Ah.
Yeah,
Yes!
that's why the baby doll has been the focus of the whole movie.
What a twist.
Because
Yeah,
turns
okay,
turns
okay,
out this
okay.
is Sweet Pea's story now.
Yeah, okay, Shiro, you know that Steven Universe example you gave earlier?
Yeah.
At least it doesn't suddenly shift perspective and become more about bloody Garnet all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It like seriously. And for the record, Zack doesn't even do anything with this protagonist shift. Not really. So there you go. Sweet Pea is gonna be the one to escape, not Baby Doll.
But as we know, she's not gonna. Oh no, never mind.
Then
Watch
she sees
this.
Shiroi. This was never my story. It was Sweet Pea's all along.
Somehow.
You know, I like stories where it turns out the protagonist
Decoy
isn't who we thought it-
protagonist.
Yeah, this is one
Ooh.
of those.
Ow.
Oh, he got back up after that. Relatively quick.
Oof.
So this scene is not in the theatrical cut, and by far the most confusing of
Oh,
deleted scenes.
no.
Why the hell did we have to cut Sweet Pea getting a dress? How is this in any way inappropriate?
Guys?
Because technically this is in the hallucinated reality.
No, Jova. That's the thing, Jova. Later in the theatrical cut, we later see her with the dress on. We just never see how
Yeah,
she got it.
I know that, yeah.
All right, this entire scene, the high roller scene, is going to be interesting because this entire scene was cut. Zack Snyder made some changes. However, the changes he was forced to make the movie PG-13 were so far removed from his original vision that he preferred to just cut this entire scene altogether. But I'll explain later. Yeah,
Also,
Hey,
speak up.
Hey, Zach, you might want to try to taking your own advice. Try that a bit. Just saying.
Well, he had another co-writer for the screen, maybe.
Which apparently it was his only work with that too.
Well, apparently he's making another movie that's coming out this year.
Is he writing it
Wow.
as well?
Well, not Snyder, the other guy.
Oh, okay.
True Love?
Writing talent.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah, he says close, yeah.
Well, you were half right, Jova. True.
So who actually plays the High Roller? Let me check. John
It's
Hamm,
Yeah,
the
it's the same-
doctor.
It's the lobotomy doctor from the beginning of the movie.
John Hamm, I swear I've seen that.
He has an extensive career, but I'm gonna check.
Oh, he was in 30 Rock. And Baby Driver.
That's okay, I'll explain.
Better explain.
Do that loudly, please. Raise your voice tone.
Tio, if you're not careful, for Zack Snyder's next movie, you'll take it literally and have the character shout.
I'd rather take that because at least I know they're trying to give a damn.
Well, deafening the audience.
Yes, I could believe that Jeremy Irons was trying to give a damn in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Well, more so than whoever played the princess in that.
That's exactly the point.
But yeah, so yeah, the High Roller wants Baby Doll to give himself over to him willingly, and in return, he offers her freedom. Here's the problem: when the MPAA saw this scene, they said they didn't want Baby Doll to be really that much into the sex. So let me get this straight: the MPAA would rather have a woman be forced to have sex rather than have sex willingly.
Okay. I want to share. I won't share his opinion on this one, but let me try to ask this question.
Sure.
Like the idea, the envision that Zach wanted, what we're seeing right now, the idea, it wouldn't be technically worse because she's potentially just putting a facade and fake consent.
What do you think, Shuri?
I mean, that could potentially be it, considering everything that's happened up until this point.
Basically,
I mean, you'd think, like, at this point in time, she'd be quite traumatized and probably wouldn't, like, want to have sex at all at this moment in time. It's weird.
Allow me. The idea of this scene is to actually correlate with, again, as you recall, when this movie started, essentially this doctor guy was about to lobotomize her. This is a correlation to her giving in to death, letting him literally take her life here and there, and her accepting it.
That idea, but to humor the supposed original point that Pedro brought up, I'm gonna say Hollywood bullshit, because here's the thing. Hollywood is very,
Yeah.
it's not a good place for women. And
I mean, we just had Mr. Weinstein having being an example of that, but don't try to pretend he's just the one case.
yeah, Hollywood is very, it's riddled with this kind of thing, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was literally just them not wanting women to feel empowered at all. Like, all these three ideas have potential to be the right one. It's just, I honestly don't know which one.
What I do know is that Zack Snyder's lack of subtlety should mean that he should not be actually allowed to tackle any of them.
Anyway,
Yeah, no, that I will 100% go.
So there you guys go. Baby doll's dead. Well, okay, technically,
Lobotomized, reduced to a vegetable.
She's mostly dead.
You know, Jova.
There's a difference
You know,
between all
Jova.
dead and mostly dead, Jova. Please
You know,
don't do that.
Jova. You think they took inspiration from this for that sequence in Bioshock Infinite, where let's see at the end.
okay,
Actually,
so
well, actually, didn't Bioshock Infinite came out in 2013?
no. Bioshock Infinite, yeah.
It's DLC. Let's just say without spoiling too much, you get to see a lobotomized like this in first person,
Oh,
Well, yeah,
boy.
this movie came out 2 years before.
Oh,
Yeah, but-
goody.
and it's slow, by the way.
See, I'm not familiar with that series outside of the original Bioshock. So.
Let's just say that
okay.
Burn at Sea is a DLC that has very good gameplay, but story-wise, it's just
there you
there to
go.
be miserable.
Wait,
There you go.
hold
See,
on.
Carla Gugino's character, and by that I mean the real her, just said that she tried to escape and take girls with her, but God,
Two of
three
the girls got killed as a result.
Two of the girls got killed as a result. Yes.
Okay, now interestingly enough, the Doctor in real life is not necessarily a bad guy. He's literally a neutral figure brought onto this and all.
It
stuff.
Well,
was
that's why Baby Doll
Yeah, Baby
made
Doll's
him into a nice high roller.
constructed that personality onto him.
Again, this is where the movie arguably does start to get interesting because you think,
But it's
oh,
the very end.
yes, I know, right? I mean, okay, we're literally getting exposition at the end of the movie.
There's the owner of the
Okay.
there
so-
you go, the Zippo.
So yeah, Joe, but remind me again. Like we just got told that the real versions of Rocket and Amber and Vanessa Hudgens characters died off screen. But we don't.
Oh, look at that! I guess
Still
that
missing the knife.
I suppose that implies that Rocket died by the knife as well.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
and the guy with the Zippo had it stolen, the lighter, So it basically said that some of these events
Oh, look.
actually did happen.
There
There's
you go.
Oscar
There's the
Wilde.
real world version of Blue.
Still with the stab at the same place.
So supposedly he had her lobotomized so that she would have sex with him, I guess.
So she did indeed stab him. So yeah, apparently we're really supposed to interpret that everything that takes place in the brothel also happens in the real
In
world.
some capacity.
What gets again? Let me remind
Which
you.
is what I was trying to get at very early on.
The problem is
It's-
that the girls are clinically insane, as we saw in that scene earlier. So how they were
Not
able
just
to
that.
ration?
Well,
Not just that, Tail. How the hell does that work? Because supposedly this was all taking place right before the needle lobotomized her. So how the hell did she? What did the doctor pause the lobotomy so that Baby Doll can go in and do all this shit? and
again,
then come
there's
back
a
and-
again,
okay, now
there-
you can lobotomize me. Go ahead.
again, there's a clear lack of explanation how much time passes at the very beginning.
Oh,
You know,
boy.
Oh.
instead of having that stupid dance number, you could have actually explained this plot hole. Just saying.
Please don't.
Remind me again how this is supposed to be an empowerment story, Zach.
You'll see.
I'm actually curious. I'll read the section that I mentioned before with my final thoughts
Well,
because I'm just
Zack
curious myself.
Snyder. Zack Snyder himself never actually goes in depth about it. But he only says it is, but he doesn't actually explain it. The fans of the movie, on the other hand, of course, they already made the argument they already made that the girl, all of the.
Oh
the
god.
girls are using their sexuality
Okay,
as
wait,
a
hold
weapon
on.
to
I
get
gotta.
what they want from the men. That's
I've-
the idea, apparently.
So this is supposedly the empowering moment that even in lobotomy, she does not give it to him willingly, and this is her victory over him.
There you go.
Essentially,
See,
her
there you go. What Jova just said. There you go. Here.
And now he's gonna kill her through choking.
actually.
It's like, well, she has been lobotomized. She can't exactly consent.
That's the thing. She's kind of gonna die in this scene.
What? I don't even understand what the hell you're talking about, you moron.
So she got out and called the police.
I'm guessing she's a serial rapist or something, but whatever. It's not like that matters because the movie's almost over. So whatever.
It's okay though, because now he's also gonna sell out the stepfather.
Oh, okay.
I actually seem to
forgot about
recognize
that.
this actor as the cop.
Not that it matters much. It's almost over. Okay, so the other three, so 3 of the girls died. Okay, so it's not like it matters. They died. But what about the real version, the real world version of Sweet Pea? Where is she?
Well, we're getting narration from her right now, and this.
Hamlet's.
Go ahead.
Sorry, the dialogue's so bloody quiet. It's.
Go ahead.
Oh my God,
No,
the
I'm just trying to
background.
hear it.
The narrator.
Oh boy, here we go.
Fort Wayne?
Vermont.
She's gonna go to. For a moment, I thought she was gonna go to Gotham.
This is where the movie gets weird and you
Probably an Easter egg of sorts.
Fort
Who
Wayne's
are
in
you,
Indiana.
kid?
Thank you. We totally needed that look from the boy. It was.
Like, is he
incredibly
supposed to
important.
be important or something?
I don't know, and I don't care. The movie's almost over.
Also, what type of uniform is that, Jova?
State trooper.
Hey, look, guys.
Okay.
The wise man was the
bus driver.
that
That's
only
the-
shows up now.
That's the thing. This is technically.
Yay.
This is now the real world, so. Oh man, when I first saw this movie, I was even more confused at this point. Like.
This is like the end of North, where Bruce Willis is revealed to have been like semi-real all along.
The difference here is like, well, Baby Doll never even met this guy in the real world at all.
Yeah.
All. So, was there
I
some
thought
mystical...
she was dying. Like, what the
It's-
hell's even going on?
No. Sweet Pea never. Remember, Sweet Pea escaped. She
No,
doesn't-
Baby Doll.
Oh, wait,
Isn't
no.
it-
But they all got
Baby
lobotomized. That's it.
Wait,
Yeah.
this is Sweet Pea?
Yes.
This is
Oh
Sweet
my
Pea.
god,
Oh.
sure. You literally made the same mistake I did when commentating on this
so-
for the
Really?
first time.
So yeah, Shiro just proved how all 4 of these girls are completely interchangeable characters. So thank you for proving my point, Shiro.
To the point
She
where...
just, she had different, like, she just looked like Baby Doll for a moment there. Like, what even?
I know, right?
Okay, I have to ask something. Okay, so the idea is that Sweet Pea escapes and she gets to live happily ever after, or whatever. Here's my problem. For all we know, she escaped from the mental asylum. Okay, for all we know, we never really got to know real world Sweet Pea. For all we know, she can legitimately be insane.
I
And
know,
now she's
right?
And now she's loose.
Think about this right now.
How is this a happy ending again?
This is like if a Batman movie ended with the Joker escaping Arkham Asylum. For all we know, Sweet Pea's gonna go on a suicidal massacre of the next town or whatever.
Apparently, I have all the weapons.
And that's it.
Am I supposed to fight?
Alright. Before anything else, let me read this section because especially actually goes on a bit of a tangent. Depiction of women. Sucker Punch also drew criticism for its depiction of women. Several criticisms described the film as misogynistic, and others expressed concern over its treatment over sexual violence. Monica Barziel of Moviephone writes, "The one of Zack Snyder's Sucker Punch are not empowered. Though they are given vicious snarls, swords and guns, the leading ladies of Snyder's latest are nothing more than cinematic figures of enslavement, giving only the most minimal fight. The rebellion is one of imaginative whimsy in an heavily misogynistic world that is barely questioned or truly challenged." Michael Phillips of the Chicago Tribune stated that Zack Snyder must have known in pre-production that his greasy collection of near-rapey fantasies and violent revenge scenarios disguised as a female empowerment fairy tale wasn't going to satisfy anyone but himself. Yeah, I believe
Honestly,
that.
that pretty much sums up everything.
Another one from the same Pittsburgh Times said that the most offensive fact about the movie was that it suggests that all this objectification of women makes men stronger. It's supposed to be reassuring that men who beat, berate, molest, and kill these women will get what's coming to them. Just wait, Snyder says, but in the meantime, here's another femininity insult to keep you occupied. Holy shit. The New York Times described the film as a fantasia of misogyny that pretends to be a feminist fable of empowerment. Another the journal described pretty much the same. However, Betsy Sherky of the Los Angeles Times suggested that the film neither objectifies nor empowers women, and is instead a wonderful wild provocation, an imperfect, overlong, intemperate, and utterly absorbing romp through the idea that I wouldn't have missed it for the world. In retrospective, the article about the critical reception of Sucker Punch, James McDowell questioned the alleged misogyny of the film, arguing that it does not, in fact, aim to other female empowerment, but is instead a deeply pessimistic analysis of female oppression, because it makes clear that just as men organize the dances, so do they control the terms of the fight scenes. In neither do the women have true agency, only an illusion of it. Let me see another point.
Imagination entirely.
Scott Manderson of the Huffington Post called the film a bitterly sad and angrily feminist mini epic, and said that while present scenes of matter-of-factly portrayal of men towards women is an accepted norm in our society both then and now, it earns kudos from daring to actually be about something relevant and interesting. It is actually very much about the sexualization of women in popular culture, rather than just using those tools to make pointless exploitation fair. Patrick Bromley of the DVD Verdict poised the Sucker Punch used the prism of popular culture to say something about the roles that women find themselves forced into, and not just in fantasy of geeks and fanboys. Brownlee further judged that the movie is about fighting a losing battle, about using every tool at your disposal, as Baby Doll said, be it sexuality or physical strength or wit, the tool of sisterhood, and about how that still is enough. And finally, in retrospect, Snyder said, I'm always shocked that it was so badly misunderstood. I always said that it was a commentary of sexism and geek culture. Someone would ask me, why did you film the girls this way? And I'd say, well, you did. Sucker Punch is a fuck you to a lot of people who will watch it. Pedro, would you agree with the last statement, just not in the way that Zack intended?
Basically, but good job, too. Now allow me to also add that onto what you just said. Okay. All right. So to give you an idea, Shiroi, because you were asking about it, about the whole female empowerment thing. One of the actress who plays Rocket in an interview, you can search on YouTube, everybody. Search for Movies Island. That's the YouTube account that it has the interview. Movies Island Sucker Punch, and you should be able to find the interview. Basically, Shiroi, the actress who plays Rocket, was asked in that interview, okay, isn't this a bit weird because, you know, like, this is more like the horny 12-year-old boy idea of a female empowerment or something like that? And then the actress who plays Rocket said, no, actually, no. When I was 12, I was also imagining myself as incredibly powerful woman, and it wasn't always me wearing sweatpants or something like that. Sometimes I had sexy outfits, sometimes I didn't, and I was just kicking ass in fantasy world. So by that logic, I was also a 12-year-old boy. So apparently Rocket's actress really digs this style of female empowerment.
Well, okay, I will say this: it does showcase complexity in the fact that humans are not always one thing, but you will get cases where will defy what might be common thinking potentially. Sure. But to determine whether it is a good thing or not, I guess it's up to you. But continue.
Yeah. Do you have something to say about that, Shiroi? Or
I mean, yeah. I mean, she's not really wrong. The problem is everything surrounding that,
pretty much.
Because, general, superhero or action fantasies are common amongst, children. It's just an imaginative thing, they reenact things from shows and stuff they watch. And yeah, I don't actually disagree with what she said. It's just this should have been done by a better writer.
Yeah, basically. All right, before we move on to the final thoughts, I want to just quickly mention the fan theory that tries to explain what the hell is going on when it comes to our heroines.
Sure.
Some fans have a fan theory that Sweet Pea, Vera, and Amber and Rocket don't actually exist. and in fact, they're actually extensions of Baby Doll's personality, and which is why she imagines them. And that and remember, allow me. This was part of the fear is that and that's why you quote unquote don't see them in the asylum. But
we did see them in the asylum.
Exactly. That's why I made clear to point that scene at the beginning to you guys.
Well, to be fair, do they actually name drop them?
No.
They don't name drop them in the asylum. No.
Like the other major evidence is the fact that we know the report that she tried to convince a bunch of other girls to escape, and a couple of them died, which would match. The true meaning would be to establish if the identity is the same or not.
I suppose.
The problem is that that just seems like it would make the story even more confusing. Like in that case, what does that mean for the death of the other girls? And does that mean that only a fifth of Baby Doll
deteriorating psyche and potentially life as she gets lobotomized?
I guess.
I guess the problem is I felt like the idea was supposed to be that she's being told, okay, her stepfather's trying to convince everyone that, she's crazy, but in reality she is not. Also, I guess we're to assume that the stepfather also got caught because Oscar Wilde's character pretty much sold him out, saying that, oh, he'll tell about the stepfather and the money and all that, so hooray for small victories. Okay, I think here's the main question. If we got... Okay, you know what this needed to be like for that theory to work? This needed to be like Joker. We needed a clear sign that she actually was, to some point, crazy and could potentially misinterpret stuff. As far as we knew, Baby Doll was of sound mind. Her stepfather, pretty much just stuffed her away at that asylum by convincing everyone that she was apparently insane after the death of her mother and all that. But we never see any proper proof of that. And not even something hinting at it, so it doesn't feel like a good mystery. I mean, I'm sure in those high-scale theory videos you could maybe make the theory or whatnot. The problem is that the writing itself did not provide us with a good enough clue and to suggest that she was that far gone.
Actually, I do have a question for you, Pedro, actually, mostly because you told me that you are more familiar with him, but I don't know if you watched his video about specifically this movie, Cinema Wins.
I haven't checked out his...
TV Tropes gives a quote on him, a quote from his video in his own interpretation. I'm trying to read it, but I'm not sure if I have to agree with it.
Keep in mind, Theo, just because I like it doesn't mean I agree.
No. That still, I want to know your opinion just because you're more familiar with it, not necessarily you have to agree with it. You mentioned about the subject of the film made no sense or portrayed women badly, and says, are we so thick-headed that we need to take everything so literally? Or deep down are we afraid of what this film is really saying, reminding us that women are abused? What it is a male director making strong feminist statement. Did he do perfectly? Obviously not, since so many of us missed the point.
Well, here's the thing, I would say, if Cinema Wins was right here in the call talking to us.
Okay.
Hell is filled with good intentions, dude. You're basically saying, he meant well. Well, okay, cool, but hell is full of good intentions. So
yeah, I think I understand that, but sorry, continue.
Oh God, I was gonna reply to Jova about something, but I lost my train of thought.
Was it about what I said regarding how we don't know enough about whether or not Baby Doll is actually insane or not?
Yeah. I think so, something along those lines. Actually, I just remembered. That's the thing, Jova. I think Smeghead in his cinematic excrement review of this movie said it best. It's fine if some things are left ambiguous. But if it gets to a point where we, the audience, start to feel like we deserve to share a writing credit, there's a problem.
Pretty much.
It gets to a point where we basically have to make up our own version of what the hell this movie is supposed to mean.
That begs the question, well, not necessarily for this movie, but in general. At that point, where you draw the line that separates interpretation and having to feel in the writer's shoes?
It's okay. Let me put it like this. Something like, what was in the case at the end of Pulp Fiction? that's something up to interpretation. Something like, oh, did Rose die, or is she just dreaming at the end of Titanic? That's also left to interpretation.
Did
Now-
the Cobb manage to get back to his kids at the end of Inception or not? Up to interpretation. Go ahead, Joe.
Now, in regards to, say, something like a plot hole, that's like explaining something like, hey, why can the Force in Last Jedi suddenly do this without any explanation whatsoever? Like, that's the thing. When you give no explanation whatsoever, that is essentially a plot hole, and it's something that requires explaining, especially when it solves literally a plot point. Like, okay, let me put it like this. When something's up to interpretation, normally that's something that the plot does not rely on. When something does happen that the plot relies on to, progress, that kind of demands some answering here and there. Again, unless you're doing something like Joker, where the idea is to try and piece together what actually did happen or not because the man's insane, but again, as far as we know, that's not the case here.
Yeah. Basically, too, I think this clip from YouTube that I love so much describes it very well. One thing led to another, something. What kind of lazy writing is that? Isn't your job as the writer to tell me how this led to that? But to be a bit more, to add to what Jova just said. Okay, I'm going to use my favorite movie too, 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is a movie that is intentionally made to be ambiguous in its entire nature. If you pay attention when you watch that movie, Kubrick hints at what you're supposed to get out of this. Like, for example, at the beginning when the movie starts, it says the dawn of man, and you see apes.
Mm-hmm.
So the movie is filled with hints at what exactly you're supposed to get from this, the evolution of man and where we can possibly go and evolve into the future. That would, so the movie does lay enough groundwork so that you can piece things together as long as you're thinking and paying attention. This movie, on the other hand, trust me, too, I've watched this movie plenty of times and I've tried my very best, but I cannot crack this one. Sorry. All right, final thoughts. Dwebs, you.
Okay. There are some things I can be willing to cut this film a little bit of slack on. In that, okay, in terms of the okay, I can forgive the fights being unrealistic when it's in her imagination, because imagination, you can do anything.
Sure.
And it's meant to be symbolic. Okay, I get that. Unfortunately, the stuff surrounding that is not very exciting. If there's no fighting going on, half the time we're just left with people either randomly yelling, or well, just boring medical stuff. Okay, Oscar Isaac to me was the most mesmerizing thing to watch in this movie, but for all the wrong reasons. Like when he randomly yells half the time, like that bloody bit where I already said it earlier on, that he's describing stuff and just randomly shouts one of the words, sorry. The music, it's music. That's all I'll say about that. I mean, okay, I mentioned acting a lot. The acting wise, it's fine. I mean, it certainly fits what this movie's given them. It's basically a bunch of stuff happening, make stuff happen, and well, they did that all right. The effects are alright, but they're kind of ruined by the drab color palette this film has. I get it. This is from the perspective of somebody whose worldview has been shattered because of all the shit that's happened to her. But I'm pretty sure there's a way to get that across without making the movie so grey, Shuri could hardly see half. And everything, and that. The ending. Okay, it was really weird though. I get why she would take some of washing line, to try and disguise herself. But I mean, if you're that far away and no, then I think you're doing a pretty good job without it.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And and apparently 2 cops could just randomly believe the word of some bus driver without any evidence.
Not just simply cops, those are state troopers.
Is there a difference?
State troopers are essentially like, the statewide police of sorts, as opposed to being district-wide police.
Okay, it's just we don't really have.
Think of it like, in your case, like, per se, think of it like, oh god, you technically have countries, imagine it per se, you had police, assigned to several different cities as opposed to just one.
Yeah, I suppose so. Anything else I could bring up?
What did you think of the characters?
Um,
Try to put
Okay.
some irony next time.
okay. Well, actually, okay. Is there anything else?
What about actually, I do have one. I forgot if you mentioned already the editing, because a lot of scenes, particularly the action one, love to do the 300 sped up, slow down, mix and match.
Well, I
What do
mean,
you
Zack
think?
Snyder. Snyder didn't really invent the thing, but he helped popularize it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Especially with Mulan that I saw earlier today.
I actually have a
And,
question. What I've explained pretty much all the changes. What did you
Point is, I
think?
don't really like the slowdown stuff. Yes, Major?
Yeah. Based on my descriptions of what was changed for Zack to finally get his PG-13 rating for theaters, what do you think? Do you think the MPAA did well, kind or not? Like, if I mean, I should know what the answer is, but
Well, the MPAA did a better job of having stuff removed that the editors should have removed. Stuff that doesn't really add up to anything.
that's the thing. There's 90% of this movie doesn't add up to anything. So by that logic, they would
Yes,
have to
but-
cut most
yes.
of the movie.
Yes, but Pedro, I only recall the MPAA massacring times.
Huh.
Hmm. All right then.
So,
All right, you done?
So yeah, to sum up, drab visuals aside from decent CGI, characters that are music that is incredibly musicy. The best I can say about it. Acting that's fine, but a story that, while I can forgive the dream sequences, everything else is just a...
Pits.
A bloody mess.
I won't say a bloody mess. Really. No,
So the pits.
it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I don't think it's... But that's not really saying a whole...
Hmm.
Next.
Sure.
All right. Sure.
I mean, it wasn't very bloody either, so, like, despite everything, but yeah, okay. Like, directing, acting, like, action sequences, all that stuff is fine. Music I don't really care for. Like, it's just pretty mainstream stuff, it's whatever. As for the changes, even despite how outlandish this movie is overall, the whole musical number is still the most out of place thing I've seen in this entire thing.
Which
It's
music
like
number?
the music number.
Oh,
The
the
one at
Love
the
is
near
a
the
Drug.
beginning, Java.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, that's why I refer to it as a musical number, because that is what it is. Like,
Sure.
it's the only one in the movie, and it feels so, Broadway, and it's completely camp and just completely out of place in this movie. Again, even despite everything. It feels like it just dropped in from another movie.
But Shiro, it's a dream. It's okay for it to not make
I
sense.
actually have a potential different interpretation. Going back to the parallel to a twisted fairy tale, maybe they want to parallel a sort of a twisted parallel to a traditional Disney musical sequence.
I mean, if that was the plan, then
Ten-
why have
Question mark, that's what they put it.
why have only the one okay?
Yeah,
well, why
that's a
have
good
only the
point.
one music number? I mean, usually how Disney movies works is that there are
They have
songs spread
multiple
out
ones,
throughout.
Mm-hmm. It's not just that, though. It's the aesthetics and how the scene, feels as a viewer. It's like it still stands out even amongst the other stuff. It's something. But going back,
All right.
but that's the thing. It's like a lot of this stuff is just has a bunch of question marks at the end because it's like, again, why? Why is any of this? I understand what the movie is doing, but they needed some direction, and apparently they didn't have any. So, and honestly, like, Zack says that, it's like, we just don't understand the movie. If the majority of people really did indeed feel the same way we did, clearly we're not the problem. I'm not sure what's hard for him to understand about that, honestly.
It's
Well,
the
Shiro,
problem.
it's a common problem with egocentric directors. Like if everybody, even if it's a consensus that most people, dislike the movie, they still cannot they still would rather just retreat into the whole, oh, you guys just don't understand me bubble.
Allow me to elaborate, Trey. For all his bluster, he did put a lot of work and effort into this. And, I bet you can imagine. Imagine you put a lot of work into something, but people hate it. Now,
Your vision. Yeah.
Now, don't get...
clearly work went into various aspects of this.
Yeah, because this was a passion project of his, for
Like,
the record.
okay. Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't change the fact that it turned out to be a sucky movie. But from his perspective, if he really did not mean for people to interpret stuff this way, and I'll admit, for all his faults, I don't really peg him as a sexist guy, just someone who's way too headstrong. I can get some of the frustrations. Granted, that doesn't change the fact that he did not portray it well, and thus it was left up to that interpretation.
Well, again, execution matters over intent.
Yeah, I guess the problem is, like, as far as he's concerned, this was his dream project, and now that it's pretty much gone and failed, it will be remembered as a failure. So in a way, it's him trying to salvage it in a way so that he himself can believe it. That's
like he's hurt by the criticism, basically, because this was his baby, essentially.
Yeah, I'll put it like this. It does take a strong person to realize that they done screwed up, but honestly, you need more people like that who can realize when they've messed up so that they can improve. Otherwise, it's just a downward spiral into Nowheresville with their career.
He should have at least considered the criticism. And I mean, like I said during the movie, but this would have gone down a lot better if the guy just did, this story didn't even really need to have a point. He could have just straight up said, I want to make some just weird fan fiction movie, and
that honestly,
yeah, that basically would have gone down a lot better with people, most likely.
That's definitely Zack Snyder's thing. He has the capacity to just make a simple action movie, but he strives to be more complex. And you know what? I get it. Wanting to be complex so that people can't just say that your movie is eye candy is fine and all, but you need to have a better mindset of how to go about doing it. Because
Or at least hire a writer that can help you do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But as for what's going on in the actual plot, I'm gonna mention one of the reviewers' comments about how the women supposedly have no agency. That's not actually true, because if the notes at the end have anything to go by, they clearly had enough agency despite their situation to get pretty far in terms of actually getting out of their situation. The problem is, we don't really see any of that happening in, quote, real life. Yeah, we see it in their imagination, which, the imagination serves as an escape. It's a metaphor for all this stuff, but it's also a very romanticized, what's the word? Depiction of their situation. That's where the empowerment gets lost, because we don't see what they're actually, like that other comment about, we don't see how their actions affect the universe that they're in. We don't, because everything we see is, again, in their imagination.
Yeah, you can imagine my shock when I actually found out that, wait, no, technically the main setting of this movie is a hallucination. God dang.
Hold on, Jova. You're asking Shiroi to imagine your shock at the imagination within Baby Lol's imagination.
How many layers are we on right now?
5.
Cake.
You're like a little baby. Watch me.
Go ahead, Shiroi.
Yeah, but as for the other things, I can definitely see why all of the stuff that was cut was indeed cut. Yeah, that would not have had a PG-13. Why were they so like? Why was the rating system so desperate for this to be PG-13? Like, why
No, no,
is
no,
that?
no, no, no,
Selling
no,
more
no, no, no,
tickets.
no, Shiro. It was both Warner Brothers, like Theo said, Warner Brothers want to sell more tickets because apparently movie studios, for some reason, still think watering down a movie for lower ratings somehow works.
Sadly, Pedro, that kind of does work. Parents are more likely to take their kids to a PG-13 movie than they are for an R-rated flick.
Adults who would have seen the movie. There's not a shortage of adults in this universe.
Why would you take your kids to watch an R-rated movie in the first place?
I don't know, Java. I get the feeling adults pay more attention to the marketing itself rather than the rating, because I feel that a parent would actually go to see, to take his little girl to see a movie with this poster in it.
Trust me, Pedro, a lot of parents will sometimes just look at the rating to determine whether or not their kids can come to the theater. I'm not saying all parents are like that, but enough are to the point where I can see why a lot of studios try to get stuff down to that PG-13 rating. I mean,
and then there's the parents who accidentally took their children to see a Deadpool movie.
Because they thought it would be a romantic comedy.
To finish my answer to you, though, Shiroi, it was both Warner Brothers and Zack Snyder himself. Zack Snyder himself really wanted this movie to be viewed, because remember, Shiroi, like I said, this allows me to bring this up. His primary inspiration for Sucker Punch, according to his interview, was a comic book he owned when he was 14. And it had a lot of sex and violence, so he wanted to create something that would be the same thing for 2011 teens. The problem is, of course, if it's an R-rated movie, of course that's not going to allow teenagers to go into the theater. So he tried his hardest to try to do all the edits he could to make this PG-13 so that the teenagers could go and see.
Okay, there's a bit of a misconception there, seeing as how teenagers actually can go to see R-rated movies. The difference is that they need parental supervision to go see R-rated movies
That is correct,
the
Jova.
parents.
That is correct, Jova, but allow me to reference the comic book thing. The comic book that Zack Snyder mentioned in that interview, yeah, he used to read that in hiding without the mom realizing, because the mom thought the comic book was just a kid's thing, but it had all that sex violence and everything. So my guess is he wanted to create that same type of escapism for teenagers.
Except for the fact that it's a mainstream movie projected onto a mainstream cinema.
Well, tell what, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
I'm just
okay, it's a movie trying
Don't
to
shoot the messenger.
here's the thing. It's a mainstream movie trying to project a comic book feeling. Okay, that's a noble endeavor. The problem is that the escapism itself, well, is escapism in the actual movie, which kind of takes you out of it a bit, because when you realize it's just as much in the actual protagonist's imagination. And technically, the main protagonist is dead, unless you actually believe that Sweet Pea was really the protagonist all along.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't, because it's not that kind of story, not in the writing or anything.
Honestly, I genuinely do wonder if the switching towards Sweet Pea being the real protagonist at the end and him being saved was an executive mandate of Warner Bros. By saying, no, Zach, you need to finish the story with some kind of happy ending for someone.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It is amazing how much this movie has given us to talk about.
We have so many questions.
I can tell you, Tail, that if that was indeed the case, Tail, Zach, it didn't seem like it at the time, because Zach flat out said, "Oh yeah, when I wrote it, it was an R movie." So Zach never really made.
Pedro, by this point, all of us should know that Zach keeps acting like, "Oh, this was always part of the plan," like for everything, not just this movie.
Go ahead, Shira.
Yeah, continue. But as for the whole, taking hold of your own sexuality and finding, empowerment in your sexuality, that's a concept that can be done really well. Like, even the whole, using feminine charm to get people to do what you want, that's something that can actually work in the hands of a better writer. Here's the thing, though. The movie is a bit janky with this,
Yeah.
even from the beginning, because at first I assumed that when we first see her in the brothel, with the musical number, again, it's very romanticized. I assumed at that point, what is that noise?
I think
But,
Pedro was yawning there.
Sorry, it's
oh,
keep going.
so the
Seeing
microphone.
if you,
Yeah, I assumed that she was imagining herself in a position where she can take some power because, again, romanticization. But then immediately after that scene, we see that she's basically, well, for lack of a better term, a slave to them. Like, not just sexually, but she's also, basically their maid, and so are the other girls. So it's like, oh, okay, that's a bit weird considering what Zack supposedly wants to do with this. And the girls are taken advantage of very frequently throughout this movie, like mentally, physically. And that really puts the later scenes where we do see them take advantage of their sexuality to get what they want, to get out. That puts that in a really bad light because it's not something, at least to me, it's not something that it seems like they felt like, they wanted to do, more like they had to do this because they know it would work. It's the complete opposite. Like, I know what Zack intended, but what the result is the exact opposite, and it's terrible.
Wow, you're literally having the same basic opinion that most people have. Very good.
Okay, it's a good thing I didn't read what people had said then, but yeah, this is how I'm reading this. Like, and if that's how most people read this too, then okay, sure. But that's all I have to really say about that. It's like, again, but we didn't actually see anything in universe, like in the real life within universe.
Like, it really just.
This is one of the worst empowerment movies, like male, female, whatever. It's the worst, one of the worst ones I've seen, because it just completely. I mean, the intent is there, yes, but the execution is just.
Hell is full of good intentions.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, think about it.
Any sort of empowerment story for anyone, it's just terrible, and that's all I have to say. I mean, it's a good looking movie. Again, the directing's great, sound mixing's terrible, but the writing is just
no.
Like, the actual meat of the story is just garbage. Sorry.
Yeah.
Who's next?
I'll go next. I'll just start this right now by saying, so consider this. If what happened in the hallucinated reality is pretty much one-to-one what happened in the main reality, and by main reality I do mean the real world, what was the point of there being the hallucinated reality? I mean, sure, you have a song and dance stuff, sure, but honestly, you could have cut out the hallucinated reality. I mean, again, okay, except for like maybe a few scenes where the hallucinated reality, it does actually act as a good correlation, aka the scene with the high roller. Well, again, that's sort of near the end. Like, honestly, the hallucinated reality could have been one of the hallucinated scenes. Like, have most of them be action, but when it comes to, like, the high roller scene, have it be the more subdued one where I guess you could say she's being pawned off, and, all this, the metaphorism, yes, all genius and all that, blah, 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 blah. Supposedly genius, I guess, in Zack Snyder's head, but whatever. It's one of the better executed scenes in regards to the whole thing. Like, that's just the thing, though. When you get down to it, the hallucinated reality was a waste of our time. I mean, because, honestly, we're left asking what happened in the real world more so, because that's the world that actually matters here. And then it turns out the wise man was in the real world as well, and for no reason whatsoever, he helps someone he doesn't know. Okay. And like we mentioned before, actually, come to think of it, I may have mentioned this before in the original commentary, but as far as we know, Sweet Pea is an insane chainsaw murderer or something, and she's going to paint the town red now that she's escaped. Because, as we saw in the real world, the girls are clinically insane. Like, sure, maybe they were being mistreated or whatnot, but if they are literally that insane, then they could be a danger to society.
There's also the traditional lack of war building that doesn't tell us. Yes, we're supposedly in the 60s America, but we don't know how much of a potential shithole society is. Were all of these girls actually insane? Were all of these actually wrongfully convicted? Why the thing that Shira mentioned at the beginning? Why did the police actually believe the stepfather and not the girl? Why didn't they analyze more of it? Like in a
I
city.
guess it's because that this movie, like the time period, sorry to interrupt, but it comes
Sorry,
from a
go
time
on.
period. It comes from a time period where, and this kind of still exists now. It's just a bit more subtle. It's when the whole children should be seen and not heard was more blatant. I
Pretty
guess that
much.
could be potentially the thing,
Like
but I don't know.
when you have a movie like Sin City where the main character is the city and the stories that happen in it are from other characters that interact with it, that actually makes more clear in how deranged and sick of the world is and how the actions have repercussions on them. But in this one, we don't have that many justification. We have to assume, and I guess at that point it does cross the line that I mentioned before about having us to fill in the role of a writer.
Actually, let's consider this also. What if her father didn't actually accuse her of murder? Because, okay, if her father had accused her of murder, wouldn't she have been taken in by the police? But no, it's her father that's driving her to the asylum. So for all we know, maybe her dad was telling the police that her sister killed herself or something. Because I guess that if he had told them that she had murdered her, they would have probably have, imprisoned her as opposed to putting her in an asylum. But no, again, for all we know, that's the thing. We don't know what the father told him. I get it. It's supposed to be a somber scene where we're supposed to interpret what he told them, but I think it kind of wagers some thinking when the questions start to get asked.
It's like I just posted in the chat now, this movie is all questions and very few answers.
To quote a future Halloween pick of mine, it just raises too many questions. Like, holy... I mean, think about it, though. I mean, what was even the overarching part? And yeah, apparently the father gets defeated off-screen, and that Oscar Wilde's character is going to get him exposed out of a bout of desperation. Again, that's the thing. A lot of the exposition we get is in pretty much the end of the movie. Like
it's kind of like in X-Files. Just the movie has to ramp up everything, tie everything up, so they just basically lock you in a room and tell you everything.
And like I said, so when you get down to it, most of this movie is kind of, sort of a flashback, except it's shown to us via hallucination lens. Which, maybe you could say it's her way to cope with her quote-unquote death or lobotomization? But still, it's just too confusing for its own good here and there. Which is a shame. Okay, I'll just say this. Everything bad in this movie pretty much clouds up the saving grace of this movie. I.e., the action scenes. The action scenes are legit good. Like, it's not just about female empowerment, it's just about characters getting to be awesome or whatnot. Like, okay, if the intention was female empowerment, yes, hell is paved with good intentions here and there, but quite honestly, Snyder, couldn't you have just made this about people being awesome in general? Like, not only that, but it's such a...
It's not enough, Jova, it needs to be deep.
Okay, so what was the point of the redhead woman? I guess to be the one who pieces stuff together by checking the file about Baby Doll and the fact that the 3 girls she was working with were killed or whatnot? Again, for a mystery, we're not even really able to piece it together ourselves, so... But yeah, what was the point of the redhead woman? To show that, she's normally submissive, but now she's taking charge by showing Oscar Wilde who's boss by having him punished?
Oscar Wilde.
That's my nickname for him.
Sure.
You get the point, though. I mean...
Sure. Go on.
Like, what was the point of her? I mean, is it to show that she can rise above it all? Because if so, took her forever to do it. And I get it. it's never that easy in real life and all that. But pacing-wise, there was literally no build-up to her finally breaking out against him. Like, there's this one scene in the hallucinated reality where supposedly she trains the girls to survive Blue, as she puts it. And funnily enough, he ends up killing them, so... yeah, so much for surviving Blue. And then in the real world, it turns out she is the one who exposes him and has him arrested. Okay. Like, this movie is like, okay, the action scenes are fully formed puzzle pieces. Every other part of this movie is a puzzle piece that does not fit, and thus leaves you with a jagged, horrid mess to look at. The actors, they try. Most of the characters aren't even characters in this movie. It's really mainly Baby Doll, Oscar's character Blue.
I just realized, Joe, that Oscar Isaac's character is called Blue, like Apocalypse.
Yeah, I know. Foreshadowing, maybe?
I don't know. Go on.
Yeah, aside from Baby Doll, Blue, and I guess Sweet Pea, we don't really get to know much. Well, okay, there's sort of that thing where Sweet Pea and her sister Rocket imply that their mother is out there in the wild waiting for them. Again, for all we know, this could be the mental ravings of two mad women who are going to paint the town red for all we know. See, I can play writer too for this movie. But, like I said, the action scenes are the best thing. To the point where, yeah, the movie should have just been those, tied together in some weird zany action thing, you know, sort of like a high-budget Kung Fury or whatnot. Like, Kung Fury did not give any crap about trying to be taken seriously, which is sadly what hinders this movie badly. Again, it has a lot of the trappings of terribly made female empowerment stories. All the men are pretty much terrible, except for this one guy who's literally a neutral figure, and all the same in the... It's funny, in the hallucinated reality, he's implied as a guy who absolutely wants to sex the heck out of Baby Doll.
I'd say a lot of like a lot of the women in this, a lot of the men are also kind of just there, save from a few.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
again, all the men we
They're just standing in the background. It's like, okay.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much all the men we focus on, except for the lobotomist, are absolutely terrible. Well,
I guess there's more stuff left to interpretation in the fact that the club might, well, the club and by extension, potentially the asylum might be classist and potential racist, because we see, for example, also in the climax scene where Blue starts shooting people that one of the other certain is a person of African ethnicity, and it's very servile towards Blue, doesn't object at any point. So I do wonder.
Again, that kind of brings us to this, though. For all we know, maybe some of these people weren't like that in the actual reality thing. It's kind of what happens when you make most of your plot take a place in someone's imagination without establishing clear correlation. Like, again, we're shown some things, very few things correlating to the real world, but not nearly enough for us to be able to assume, oh yeah, this is totally how everything goes in the real world. It just doesn't work. Some of the music is fine to listen to, but I won't really remember it that much. Sure, they're nice remixes. Again, I mean, I pretty much just have to say that the action scenes are the best thing of this movie. Like, if you're really curious, just look up the action scenes on YouTube. You probably can find them.
Mm-hmm.
And, so yeah, there you go. Sucker Punch. At best, I can maybe, and this is a very big maybe call it a noble failure, because I can believe that Zack Snyder did have good intentions with this movie, and at the very least I can say that I did have a bit better of a time watching this movie. Maybe it's because we had the full team for it this time as opposed to just me, Pedro, and Dwibs, or maybe it's the fact that now I actually know what's going on from the get-go here and there, but the action scenes, for the most part, I feel do hold up. What sucks is that they don't matter in the grand scheme of things, which, Again, like Bridge to Terabithia kills my enjoyment. Although, like Tio said, I think I'm starting to realize that I may actually like this movie better than Bridge to Terabithia. Ugh. So there you go, Sucker Punch. Noble failure at best, glorious train wreck at worst.
I sure got sucker punched.
Pretty
It's
much.
interesting because you asked me very early in this commentary.
The title. Yeah, I checked that too. Apparently, Wikipedia mentions something. Supposedly, sucker punch is a term used in fighting about you basically throwing a punch out in a surprise manner. So, like, I get the idea that it wants to be like a shocking thing, which does reflect with some of the themes in this movie.
Not just that too, but in my country, because sucker punch as a expression doesn't really work in Portuguese.
Yeah, same
so
here.
So they changed the title to Surreal World. Just Surreal World.
My country still uses sucker punch. I don't know why.
Oh, so they just keep the English title.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Sometimes we do have our own bizarre translational title. But it's a topic for our time.
So guys, what do you think of my country's custom title for this movie, Surreal World?
It's kind of fitting. It reminds me of how Cool World in my country was called Escape from Dream World. Makes sense.
Okay, Tio,
Alright.
your final
Go ahead,
thoughts?
Theo.
Sure. Well, aside from the title, okay. Gotta be honest, I'm still on the fence on the idea that this, instead of being a proper movie, was just a bunch of concepts that Zack Snyder had in mind and wanted to put in movie format. But Warner Bros. Was like, we don't really like any of these, so can you just like tie them together with a narrative? And it's like, okay, here's some sexy teenagers in some outfits that remind me of the comics that I used to read as a kid, and there's that. I'll just build something from it, because honestly that's the vibe that I'm getting mostly from this. Gotta need to say this, even if I was younger, I wouldn't really be interested too much in the fan service of this. Not so much in terms of the action scene. I actually like those. Like I mentioned, all the fantasy sequences are actually my highlight of the movie. Probably the best part, and things that should have been their own standalone movies, helped by the amazing directing, again, giving credit where it's due. But the idea of the characters in skimpy outfit don't really interest me, not so much for the outfits themselves, but because most of these girls look way too young for my tastes. If anything, I was more interested in Carla Gugino's character, but whatever. But no, just everything else is just interpretable. That's the better word. I mean, most have been said already, but most have been said also from my part already in the movie.
I just realized, guys, maybe the dance Baby Doll was doing was interpretive dance. It is left up to interpretation. And
the real
that
dance
is why
was
it's
the friends.
so-
The real sucker punch was the friends we made along the way.
So pretentious.
Well, yeah, it is.
fitting for this
movie.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like I said, I do think I get what Zack wanted to do at the very core, creating a twisted fairy tale at the beginning. I'm surprised, considering the lack of subtlety, he didn't do like a parody of, like a twisted parody of the book turning at the beginning, like again in traditional Disney fashion. But the elements are still there, like the very beginning, potentially the one musical sequence, also the esoteric happy ending. I'm gonna call it that because it does really feel out of place, not just for the fact that it's sweet pea, but because the movie has been so bleak, even in taking back any hope that you might have had, but it does feel out of place to still have an happy ending afterward, even if it is darkness induced audience apathy territory. Because it is like I like these action sequences, but everything that's surrounding them and potentially the characters involved are not, engaging enough for it to be. If it could just be replaced by the robots found in the last sequence, and it would be just as fine for me. And I guess that sums up the movie for me. I like it as a concept, and I like this action sequence as a concept. But everything else ranges from just being playing okay at the very best, and that's being generous, to offensive to anyone. And this is just, I would say that I wasted my time, but not really. I mean, I could say this: no alcohol required for this one. Congratulations,
nice.
Zach. You're better than Twilight, I guess. For any accomplishment that I can give you.
Here's your star, Zach. Better
Here's-
than
You
Twilight.
get a cookie.
Here's your
Hash-
customary
hashtag-
better
It's a
than
little
Twilight
stale,
award.
but it's a cookie nonetheless.
Hashtag still better than Stephanie.
Still, not really. This movie is mostly forgotten these days, and probably for the best. We'll see how Mr. Snyder fares in the future. I still want to see the Justice League cuddle 4 hours, cuddle him out of morbid, call it curiosity. What do you want? But again, we'll see with these new original projects of not Evil Dead. Pedro.
Okay, there's not really anything that I can say at this point that everybody has already mentioned in their final thoughts, and even throughout the movie. Everything that was exclusive to me, I've pretty much already said. Forgot the movie. Sorry.
We've literally had more than 3 hours to document the problems with this movie.
Don't worry, I'll separate those in the timestamps as well.
Anyway, yeah, the basic point is this, Zach. Look, you're a cinematographer. You're not even that's what you're good at. Please consider it. Like seriously, this
You are
whole,
amazing at it, cinematography. Yes.
This whole storytelling thing, Zach. It's not working out. Dude.
Go back to directing music videos. I feel like you could shine there.
Okay, we don't have to go that far, Shiroi. He can just be a cinematographer, as in he doesn't have any involvement in the storytelling process. He's just there to help the visuals come to life.
Sure.
That's what he does best. Therefore, that's where he should stick to. But unfortunately, I think he's way too proud of his work to really let go, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, I will say this. It's you see this. All of the Zack Snyder fans out there who love this movie and love Batman v Superman as a misunderstood, brilliant movies and stuff like that. Look, I have at it, I guess, but I don't even can even begin to understand why you stand up for this guy so much as you do. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate the guy or anything. It's just that the incredible passion and fervor that his fans defend him with is incredibly fascinating to me, because you don't see that very often nowadays when it comes to unpopular filmmakers. But
I think that's just the thing. Zack Snyder is not necessarily unpopular. Like, he has a fan base established in some of his earlier works, which were better, and from that, people have risen to support him.
Mm-hmm. Well, remember, Jova, like, there's still an incredibly vocal defense squad for Batman v Superman, and they were the ones who had speared the hashtag release the Snyder Cut movement. So I'm assuming so yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, this movie is terrible. It has cool action, and it has good acting for the most part, considering the circumstances. And like I said, it's at the very least nice that at the very least they were not lazy about it. So there's that, I guess. Credit where credit is due. So yeah, that was Sucker Punch. We will. I do intend on picking Legends of the Owls of Ga'Hoole. Oh yeah, that's right, Shiroi. That's right, Shiroi. What if I told you that Zack Snyder, before this movie, directed an animated family film?
Which one?
You know the one about the owls?
It's an obscure one that kind of whimpered and died, and nobody really talks about nowadays. It's called The Legends of the Legend of the
Guardians, the Owls of Ga'Hoole.
That's it. Thanks.
I've never heard of that.
Most people haven't, Shiroi. That movie kind of showed up.
Came and went.
It farted and then disappeared.
It had.
basically.
Okay, I definitely remember the marketing campaign.
Same, but
Never-
actually I haven't seen it
Yeah,
myself.
I never got around to seeing it, but I definitely remember it being marketed to high heaven. But yeah, it did kind of just come and
I
go
only-
after that.
I only saw it once in the theaters.
Wait, you actually
but I
went to
don't-
see it in theaters?
I did. But I don't remember much about. I do remember the plot being very cliche and very predictable, and the movie in general. Just like again, it's Zack Snyder. The animation looks amazing, and the visual set pieces look gorgeous. But the story was okay. To his credit, it was probably his most functional story. So there's that. But it's incredibly cliche. The only reason that story doesn't fail horribly is because it's like playing incredibly safe. Like the cliche, it's very formulaic as a story. But so in the future, everybody in the near future, everybody look out for a Sausage Fest commentary of that movie, because in anticipation, quote unquote, for the Snyder cut, might as well get Zack's filmography done while we're at it. Why not, right? I will say
Sorry.
this one final thing before we end this. I even taught this to Joe for the commentary. Yeah, like me and Joe said, as far as a filmmaker, I can, like Jova, I can believe that he has integrity. It's not like he's milking cash cows or anything. No, he's genuinely trying to make what he thinks are cool projects. So he has that going for him. That being said, Zach, you need to stop attacking those who criticize your films.
Yeah.
To give you an idea, Shiroi,
you don't want to become Butch Hartman.
Yeah, to give you an idea, Shiroi, this was his reaction to the criticisms Batman v Superman got when it comes to Batman killing people. And I said, and he says, like Batman killed a guy. Wake the fuck up. So I guess that's what I'm saying about once you've lost your virginity to this fucking movie, and then you come and say to me something like, my superhero wouldn't do that. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like down the fucking road on that. You know what I mean? What does that mean?
I don't know what you mean, my dude.
It's a cool point. Look, I'm 100% fine with it. It's a cool point of view to be like, my heroes are still innocent. My heroes didn't lie to America. My heroes didn't embezzle money. My heroes didn't commit any atrocities. I'm like, that's cool, but you're living in a fucking dream world. You see, Teo, if you think superheroes are supposed to be, symbols for goodness and justice, you're just living in a fucking dream world, too.
I mean, my favorite DC character is Deathstroke, so you're barking at the wrong tree.
Sure.
But I get what you mean.
No, okay, let me just very quickly address this real quick. We're supposed to look up to them. They're super fucking heroes, for crying out loud.
Multiple stories tell why Superman should not go on the other side, the same as Batman.
Like I said, Zack Snyder's major problem. Ever since Watchmen, it seems like he can only write Watchmen when it comes to superheroes.
Did he write Watchmen, Dips?
I don't think so.
I'm not quite sure he wrote Watchmen, but basically his mindset... Let me put it like this.
Don't worry, I'm on it.
Let me put it like this. His mindset is always on the Watchmen mindset, which even the creator of
Actually, no.
Oh, David Hayter.
Alexi and David Hayter.
David Hayter, okay, cool.
So I had to blame them for the change at the end. Alright.
Okay, but here's the thing. Ever since Zack Snyder worked on Watchmen, it feels like he's only been able to have the Watchmen mindset when working with other superheroes, which, mind you, even the creator, Alan Moore, has said is a bad idea.
Yeah. Okay. You see, this is the problem. Okay. Okay. And by the way, all of you fans out there, like because a lot of these defense squad of his like to prop up Zack Snyder, this misunderstood guy who got screwed over by Warner Bros. And don't get me wrong, that is true to an extent. That is true. But at the same time, let's not in an attempt to try to balance out that narrative, guys, let's not pretend he's blameless, because a lot of the crap he did with Batman v Superman was, let's face it, not good. And the fact that he reacts like this when he gets criticized and literally and literally, snaps back at you, yeah, that's not doing him any favors. But that's all I wanted to get out of my system. Anyway, that's Sucker Punch. Tune in the near future for where me, Jova, Teo, and Dwibs will look at his
And maybe Shirai.
animated family epic, The Legend of the Guardians Owls of Ga'Hoole. God, that title is a mouthful.
Motherfucker. See ya.
Say that more
Yeah.
drunk. See ya.
See ya.